I just sent it to everybody. I need this one back. But if you agree to this, I'd like to read it tonight. It's very well balanced. Did you read it? I mean, read it. 20, 30 minutes, right?
Thank you, Mr. Fan. We're going to go ahead and get started. I'll read the statement. This meeting is called pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. This meeting was included in the annual notice of the meeting schedule as set forth in Resolution R-22-245, adopted by the Township Council at its regular meeting of December the 20th, 2022. Advertised in the official newspaper on December 29th, 2022, and again on January 5th, 2023. Posted on the bulletin boards outside of the municipal building and has remained continuously posted. In addition, a copy of the annual notice has been made available to the public, is on the file in the office of the Township Clerk. Please join me in standing for our Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes, Deputy Mayor, I would like to offer one moment of silence this evening in memory of Elizabeth Joan Smith, affectionately known as Betsy, from the YMCA, who passed away this week.
Thank you, Councilwoman Schlager. We'll stand for a moment of silence for Ms. Smith, who I worked with on the board at the Y many years. Thank you for recognizing that. Thank you all. Please be seated. Madam Clerk, can you give us the roll call, please?
Councillor Cummings?
Present.
Deputy Mayor Herlock?
Present.
Councillor Price Abrams?
Here.
Councillor Russo?
Present.
Councillor Schlager?
Here.
Councillor Terry?
Here.
Mayor Spiller absent.
And just to that note, Madam Clerk, if we could, actually, unfortunately, the mayor had business out of town and is not here this evening, so you're stuck with me. In addition to that, we have a new gentleman sitting here to my right, not so new, I guess, an old good friend, Mr. Terry. Welcome as our Councilor-At-Large. I am absolutely thrilled that you're here. You and I have worked together on many different projects over the years. I look forward to continuing that relationship going forward. And if you'd like to say a couple words or more, please go right ahead. Thank you, Roger.
And thank you very much, Bill, Deputy Mayor. Well, first of all, I just want to thank the councilors for an opportunity to come and serve the community again. For me, service has been very important in my life and in my parents' life. So I've served this community probably for most of my life. Everybody up here, I know them. We've had an opportunity to work together before. You know, I'm looking forward to working together with you right now. I think everything that I said that was printed in the papers, you know, I kind of stand by. I know that there's been a tough time for the council and the community here. But one thing about Montclair, that we've always been a community to try to work together and to try to figure things out. Now, I understand that people have strong feelings about certain issues, but we all should be able to agree to disagree. And it shouldn't be any time where people come up here and make fun or badger or call names of individuals because of a decision that they made. So hopefully that we'll be able to stand by that and act like Montclairians really do. This isn't like the federal government. We all live together in the same community here. So we should try to work together a little bit better. And not just for us here, but for the community also. And I know I've talked to quite a few people in the community, and that's what they're looking for. They're looking for a civil group that can work together, even though what comes before us may not be like that sometimes. At least that we'll try our best. But, you know, hopefully that everything will go well. And again, thank you very much. And I'm glad for the opportunity.
Thank you. Well said, my friend. Anyone else? Yes, Councilwoman Price Abrams, please.
Well, thank you, Mayor, for the evening.
Deputy.
Well, all right.
But thank you.
Councilman Terry, I just wanted to also extend a welcome to sitting at this dais together. You've occupied some time in the past. I've occupied some recent time, and it's really a privilege to be sitting together with you. I look forward to just, good collaboration, sharing of ideas, agreeing, disagreeing, just very respectful engagement, and I'm just so pleased that you're here. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, for tonight. Roger, you and I ran together, and it took, I guess, 3.5 years now to finally get sworn in. I wish that you had been sworn in then. We go back a long time. In fact, people should know that when I did run for a higher office, which was Essex County Freeholder, that's what it was called, and now it's Commissioner, the one booming voice everybody heard on a phone message was from Roger Terry telling people to vote for me in it was 2008, Roger, right? 2008. Then I think Roger ran for county sheriff at one point. We all supported him. But Roger, I want to thank you for your past support. I want to tell you that, there's nothing meant by not supporting you just last week. But I do support you being here now, and I do have a great feeling that you will bring the calmness and stability that we need. I'd like to say very clearly that one of the reasons we had problems was the person sitting there before you did, in fact, say to me that I accomplished nothing in 23 years on the council, and that was a great insult. Now, Roger and I are the oldest up here. We're not really senior citizens, but Roger and I have worked together on things, and he knows that going back when he was council member and deputy mayor, he proposed very strongly that we buy a piece of property to be a senior center, and I was so supportive of that. I was not on the council. I was so supportive of that, but we missed the opportunity to buy a piece of property in, I guess, 2000 and, I guess, Roger, it was 2007 or so, was it? No, 2009.
2009.
So Roger had the foresight to see this, and because he and I are the oldest, I'd ask the council to please think about this, because Roger Terry was the one proposing it. The seniors in our town love him. He served on our Senior Citizen Advisory Committee, the SCAC group, and he served with the GAP, the new senior GAP group. He's a vice chair of that, with Ann Lapel and the others that I know so well. They live in my building. So I'm really hopeful, Roger, not only will you bring a good tone here and stability, you'll keep me calm, and you'll also help with the senior citizens' request for so many years, as you know, going back to 2009. Thank you, and good luck to you, Roger.
Thank you. Moving the agenda with flexibility, unless there's an objection. We have the minutes that have been presented to the council for October 10th and October 18th, 2023. Are there any corrections or additions?
Yes, Mayor. On the resolution, on the minutes for the 18th, I guess it is. One resident asked me, it's Eileen Birmingham, she asked me to make sure it's corrected. Maybe the clerk can add this. She didn't mean who got the highest vote. She meant the person who got the highest vote for, or second highest vote for mayor. So there's something she's going to submit to you, and I was just asked by her to correct this. There's something missing in the quote that says should she mention the highest vote. So we'll get that corrected. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Madam Clerk, do you want to pull that minutes then to be able to correct it? So that, or what is the protocol there?
Has to send the exact quote that she feels she made. It's just omitting a little sentence.
Okay,
I don't have it in front of me, but it's on the iPad. It's a correction that she sent in by email.
Which date was that?
I'll forward it to your clerk.
the 18th.
All right, so you want to just move we'll move for the 10th, Madam Clerk, so those are
Okay.
corrected. Okay, do I
All
have
right,
a motion
so you're
to
just going to move the 10th.
correct until the correction is made for Councilor Russo?
Okay.
Do I have a motion to move? Accept the minutes on the 10th, just the 10th.
I'll move those.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. It's like pulling teeth up there. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. Okay. Now we will open it up for public comment. All speakers must complete the sign-in sheet next to the podium before addressing the council. The amount of time allotted for this evening is 3 minutes. Before speaking, please clearly state your name for the record. If you wish to comment on a pending ordinance listed on this evening's agenda, please make your comment during that public hearing for that particular ordinance. Having said that, I will go ahead and open public comment. Mr. Scott.
Good evening. William Scott, 23 Cedar Avenue. I'm also the chair of the Montclair NAACP Housing Committee. I just wanted to follow up on a recommendation from the Montclair Housing Commission that was submitted to the entire council back on May of 2023. And then there was also a follow-up recommendation from the Montclair NAACP for my reappointment to the Montclair Housing Commission. Several months have gone by, and I believe at this point in time, my commitment to affordable housing, rent control in the Township of Montclair, an advocate in many different ways, that I believe that at some point in time, I should know for certain that there's going to be appointment or not an appointment. So I would like to take this opportunity to give our new council member an opportunity to introduce the recommendation for my appointment to the Montclair Housing Commission.
Is that an appointment, Mr. Scott, or a reappointment?
Reappointment.
Reappointment? Okay. Well, clearly your service on those issues is without saying. I've been up here 11 years now, so I appreciate all your efforts. Ms. Price-Abrams?
Just for clarification, I know that when we reviewed all the housing bodies at the time that the rent control board was created, we, in a sense, I think, spread around the capable talent. I think that's in part what we had considered when we were, taking people who had long service, long experience, and we made sure each of those boards had a certain amount of leadership. And so I think you're not currently serving, that you're looking for, it's not a reappointment from current service, you're looking for a reappointment from, past service and an ongoing commitment, which I understand.
Yes, and also I was, when I joined the rent control board, for the first year I was a chair.
Right.
And not to overburden myself or be overcommitted, I stepped down as chair to give me the opportunity to join the Housing Commission, rejoin the Housing Commission. And in the past, I've been on several committees with the township. I was on the Parks and Rec for several years.
Sure.
I was the liaison for the Senior Citizen Housing, Senior Citizen Committee as the liaison from the not only the NAACP, but the Housing Commission. So, and I continue to go to planning board meetings. It's very important that the Township of Montclair will be looking at their affordable housing obligation for the next 10 years. And I believe from not only a Housing Commission standpoint, but an NAACP standpoint, we need to be at the table. We need to make sure that there's going to be a true commitment for affordable housing, and we want to communicate that right back to our community from an NAACP standpoint. But I served in both capacities for over 15 years when I was on the Housing Commission and also the chair of the NAACP Housing Committee.
Thank you, certainly. I'm just going to recommend potentially that, we need to ask the clerk to, potentially reprise all of the commissions, boards, committees, et cetera, that are without, and that potentially maybe next meeting we'll be able to really sit and plan for a whole session where we would, on balance, really find allocate the talent to all the places they need to go. So that's what I would request of this body that we would do. And we can do it next time we meet. I don't know what the agenda otherwise holds, but that's what I would like to see.
Just one more point. You have the opportunity as a council representative to introduce a motion. And I think that based on the past 6 months of review, I think I'm asking for that opportunity to be advanced tonight. You have my information. I think that a recommendation can be made, and someone just has to introduce it, second it, and vote on it.
And it's my request that we just take them all up together next meeting. That's my personal preference, that we would all just be thoughtful about the whole balance of where we need to find people, so others
That's a
may
fair
choose.
request, Councilor Abrams, Price Abrams.
And I
Thank you, Mr.
have,
Scott.
I have submitted my volunteer form back in May.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And thank you for your service.
Ilmar Vanderer, 127 Edgemont Road. Good evening. I come tonight to offer my sincerest congratulations and very best wishes to my wonderful friend, Councilor Roger Terry, on the occasion of being appointed to fill a vacancy on the Township Council. I have had the pleasure and privilege of knowing Roger for quite a few years, starting in 2008, when I had the joy of working with him on his campaign, and I supported him proudly once again in 2020, hoping that he would find his way up here once again, which he now has done, although it's been a long process. For the record, I have to state that I also have the highest admiration and regard for Dr. Renee Baskerville, and I thank the council for its consideration of the testimonial that I submitted on her behalf. Now, regarding the special meeting that was held last week, I have only one question to ask. Madam Township Clerk, could you please kindly inform me and everyone else here tonight, when is the date when candidate packets and petitions will be available in your office to be picked up, because those of us waiting and wanting to run for town council in 2024 just cannot wait even a single moment longer.
Madam Clerk, do we have a date for the packets? Not soon enough, as far as I'm concerned, but,
No, we don't have a date for the packets yet.
okay. Once we get a date, we will obviously get that out, and it'll be coming out, I think, well in
Thank
advance
you.
of packet pickup.
I'll make sure to be the first online. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, you too.
Thanks, Ilmar.
Anthony Foster, 1 Normal Ave. I live in Freeman Hall, one of the few dorms on campus.
At Montclair
At Montclair State University.
Where
Right.
you're one of my students, aren't you?
Unfortunately, yeah.
See that? See that? See that? They want A's. They want A's, and they come up and say these things.
No, listen, Mr. Deputy Mayor and Council, I want to bring your attention to resolutions numbered 6 and 7. They both relate to the purchase of 2 new gasoline trucks. Mr. Deputy Mayor, the 2 gasoline trucks cost $58,000 and $61,000 respectively. Not only are these trucks some of the most expensive on the market, they rank as some of the worst in their class. The trucks rank worse than the GMC variant, worse than the Ram, and worse than there's another variant, I guess I didn't write it down, but they rank really poorly on their variant list for super heavy-duty trucks. Mr. Mayor, it is no longer 2000. Electric vehicles are available, affordable, and powerful. I will ask at the bare minimum that the town postpone buying this and not be strong-armed by some sales pitch saying, you have to buy it now or else it's going to go away, right? Why buy something bad that's going to go away? Just let it go away. Okay, take the due diligence and find a better truck. And optimistically, we buy an electric truck. I mean, it's 2023, you're going to have this for 10, 15 years. You don't want a gas truck in 15 years, right? So find out if you even need this truck, find out what specifications you need, and buy a better one at the bare minimum, but if you can, buy an electric one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Extra credit.
Good evening, Darren Siddons, 75 Montclair Avenue. I've been a resident of Montclair since 1999. First of all, congratulations, Mr. Terry, and welcome. And thank you for letting me speak tonight. I'm here to talk about Claire Anderson Arena again. We just want to make sure that we're clearly on the minds of everyone. It's a gem that's been neglected for far too long in this town. It's been around since 1961. It was built by, members of the community. And as Mr. Terry said, we can, as a community, we need to all get along together and come together and try and figure things out. So what I really think needs to happen is we need to try and figure out what we're going to do with the rink, because it really is an important thing, not only for, sports, for hockey, for figure skating, for public skating, for places to meet, to watch township rivalries for hockey games, et cetera. But it would be sad to see it not here. And, I know there's mention of a, senior center. I think that's a very important thing, but I don't want to have the message clouded. We have a rink here that we need to do something about, and we need to keep operational. I know that it's in very bad condition, but we have it. And so let's do something about, renovating it, bringing it up to par, making it a continuing piece of the town that the rest of our township and future children can enjoy. So that's all I had to say.
Thank you.
Hello,
I'm sorry,
Sarah
I don't
Avery.
mean to interrupt real quick, Mr. Lepola. I'm
I
sorry.
just-
Don't worry, you're going to get your full time. Mr. Lepola?
I just wanted to tell the council that I had a conference call with the gentleman earlier today, and we are preparing an RFQ for the consultant for the arena, and we hope that to go out to the market on Friday. So we did have a conversation about that, so
That's great. I really appreciate you acknowledging that, and it's a step in the right direction, and we really look forward to trying to help the town to, raise some money, like, our forebears had actually helped, so, we're here to help. So it's
Thank
great
you.
news.
great.
Thank you.
We look forward to having you raise some money, too. Thank you.
Real quick, I'm sorry, Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Mr.
Lepola,
Cummings, go ahead.
what are we looking out of this RFQ? What are we looking to get?
It's still in draft proposal, but basically it's whether we're going to upgrade the current facility, propose a new facility, and basically, and part of it will be, and we're not talking about specific engineering and architectural plans or anything. It's basically to give the council options as to whether or not, how much money they want to invest in this project. And we have fundamental costs that we're going to have to fundamental expenses that we're going to have to fund after this season regardless. And we're also going to include in there how we can work with the members of the community who have volunteered to raise money and help us in that regard. So it's going to basically give the council options as to what they want to do, and the intent is going to be, if you so choose, we get that money into the capital budget for the next budget cycle.
And with that, just so we're clear in communication, at some point, when do you think you'll be able to give a timeline of when we'll have that information? I know once they get it, they'll have to do the work.
Yeah, I
but
would
just-
say that we would hopefully get you, we'll have somebody selected within, probably by the December meeting, and then the study will begin, and we haven't finalized the time frame on that, but it would be several months. So we do have some previous studies in terms of engineering issues that we can rely on.
Right.
So we can take it from there in terms of that, as to whether or not, what we can or can't do to the current facility. But I just want to let everybody know it is so old, and there's been such a lack of investment in it, that we're going to have to spend several $100,000 or more just to get it operable, maintain it at its current state for the following year.
So December, you hope to send it out?
Well,
Or December, you hope to have?
December, we start the study, and hopefully that study will not take that long.
Okay, but once we figured out the group that's going to do the study, they should be able to give us some type of
Quickly.
idea of how long.
Yes,
Okay.
all right?
I'm sorry.
Councilwoman Price-Haber?
I maybe misheard you. You said something by December, and then I thought I heard 7 months.
No, I didn't say 7 months.
What did you
Several,
say?
several.
Several
months.
months.
We haven't finalized
Okay,
that.
I mean,
number
I
yet.
just don't, I
Yeah.
want to make sure I heard it
Yeah,
correct.
that
Okay,
was several, yes.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
Sure, no problem. Sarah Avery, I'm a 36-year resident of Montclair. There are many takeaways from the October 10th meeting. Foremost, no impact study on the area was performed, that David Plasek has no experience with urban redevelopment, a lack of transparency surrounding funding for his operation, and the prohibited use of local tax-exempt organizations to publicly advocate in support of the plan. One of my public school teacher friends is very concerned about how the COVID relief funds received by public schools were spent. There's been no accounting, and there's no evidence of the funds having been spent in our public schools. Witness the need to approve an $84 million referendum to make critical repairs on infrastructure in Montclair. There are hundreds of thousands of different tax form filing requirements and reporting filers, with one notable exception. Dark money super PACs have no requirement to report either the sources of funds or where those funds are dispersed. The N.J.S.A, a tax-exempt organization led by Sean Spiller, has given $30 million to Garden State Forward, a dark money super PAC, over the 3-year period ended August 31st, 2022. Why would the N.J.S.A give money to Garden State Forward if they didn't have something to hide? Not to mention, funding a dark money super PAC by a tax-exempt organization is prohibited. The public schools can't even provide coffee for teachers, but Sean Spiller can take $30 million from N.J.S.A to do whatever he wants. The council's completely incompetent, as the redevelopment plan set forth is so obviously created by inexperienced and unqualified amateurs. My vision for this community is to return the site to its natural state, similar to the meadow at Eagle Rock. The historic Lackawanna Station should become a museum, the Museum of Montclair, so everyone who lives here or passes through can learn about the history of this community. For those interested, I have scheduled a Zoom meeting to share findings related to Garden State Forward, other evidence of fraud, which is all discoverable, and campaign finance violations committed by Sean Spiller. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Damara Scott. I am a homeowner at 59 Pleasant Avenue in the 4th Ward. I came here at the beginning of the year with a broken ankle to have a conversation because I have worked in this town for several years. I've raised my siblings in this town. I've worked at banks and wealth management and have been a part of various movements, which I don't feel the need to mention. So I came here at the beginning of the year because I had received a summons about noise. And while I was in that meeting, I discussed several issues that were occurring in the 4th Ward on my home. And I'll go over them again, but I feel like there's an order in which apparently I didn't know that I needed to go through first. So I spoke in reference to the noise that was happening in that community, the parties that happened. It's like an annual party for one of the representatives who's here often and represents the Renters Committee in Montclair. That family, that home has parties every year, and they go up to like midnight. I've called the police on that home after I received a summons for having music on my porch. The individuals were advised by the police after I asked them to have the same, response to me that they had to with the other people. And I'm sorry, to have the same response with the other people as they had to me. They turned the music down for half an hour. It went back up. I came here and I spoke about living next to the principal of Buzz Aldrin, and I also came here speaking in reference to the lack of residents who have their dogs off leash. And I also spoke to them about the fact, that I had to reach out to the police because I did not want to have interactions with my neighbors who never took a moment or time to even introduce themselves before using my driveway. What I discovered was that the two individuals who are communicating and they have play dates with their dogs are Councilman Cummings' wife and Councilman Cummings and Major Jennings of the Buzz Aldrin School. So I attempted to come here to discuss why I felt that it was really discerning, as he had said, that I would be given a summons for music, of which I was given no advice on or anything to deal with that. Then there's noise coming from that home, Major Jennings' house, pretty much all night long. I've called the police. They bring the volume down, and then when the police roll it off, they do it again. So where we ended up with that conversation was that Councilman Cummings said that he found that me stating that his wife being on my property and or his dog being on my property was discerning, and that anyone who had worked with him and had known of his wife would know that he in fact had not been on, that they don't come to my property, that they have a play date with their dogs on their property. And where I left off was as a new homeowner in Montclair, which I'm gonna be selling the house because this has been a drastically, I'm sorry. So I guess I'll just say this, because what he stated to me was that that I was not on his property, and that essentially he called me a liar, and I was threatened that he would call the police. This is my property. I do not own a pet. This is his wife, and that's his dog. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Eileen Birmingham. Welcome, Mr. Terry, Councilor Terry. At the last council meeting, toward the end, Mr. LaPola, you were explaining to Mr. Cummings why Montclair needs to spend $5,000 a month on an outside firm to perform basic governmental functions. And you said that so many departments, the manager's department, clerk's office, HR, law, were very understaffed. So it was necessary to spend this extra taxpayer money to address things like the firefighter's exam, the gift that keeps on giving. And I was baffled by this because we have a very, very large municipal budget already. So why would we be so understaffed? But I took a look, and I think you might be onto something. I compared Montclair's budget in 2002 to our budget in 2022. And over that time, our municipal tax levy went from about $30 million to almost $60 million, almost doubled. Other revenue, like state aid, has stayed pretty flat. But while our tax levy has doubled, spending in so much of our municipal budget has actually gone down or stayed flat. The town manager's office is down from 2002. The clerk's office is down. Parks maintenance is down. Recreational activities is down from 20 years ago. Community events also down. Library pretty flat. Debt service up a few million. Similarly, public works. But the outlier in spending is on the police and fire department. Spending on these departments is up over 150% over that same period when other spending has been cut, and there doesn't appear to be an end in sight. So I would ask you, Mr. LaPola, respectfully, as you approach this budget season, to consider that Montclair is primarily a residential revenue stream, and we need balance. We are not Linden, for example, with a larger commercial tax base, which gets over $80 million in state aid every year. We get a fraction of that. We are closer to Westfield, although we are not quite as wealthy, but we are 6 miles, and we are primarily a residential tax base. Montclair, unlike some other towns, believes in paying its firefighters, but it is not realistic to think that Westfield is okay with 36 firefighters, and Montclair would need 60 more firefighters than Westfield. Or that Maplewood and South Orange together need 71, and Montclair would need 20 more than that. Or that Wayne, 55,000 people, needs 0. I am not anti-firefighter, I am pro-reality. And the reality is that Montclair already spends more per capita on the police and fire departments together than other towns that rely on so much residential revenue. I have not seen data to indicate that Montclair is more inherently dangerous than other towns. We need to use current data to analyze our need and consider, for example, that Essex County has a mutual aid system for fire suppression that every other town in Essex County uses to balance its spending. We should too. Because Montclair, as I said, used to have more balance. And I can assure you that parks are important to people in Montclair. Community events, arts, hockey rinks, and yes, responsive service from the manager's office. We need the police and fire department.
wrap up,
We
please,
need
Ms.
other
Birmingham.
things too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is John Lang. I live on Midland Avenue. You can see I'm here with the bike bus. So I live right near the high school. It's a great spot to be. The street is full of life. High school kids, people walking their dogs, running groups, and of course on Friday mornings, the bike bus. But it's also a wide street, and when school congestion clears out, people tend to drive way too fast. I frequently see cars doing faster than 50 miles an hour. I've been overtaken on that street for driving the speed limit or for stopping at a crosswalk. My experiences are far from unique. Practically everyone in Montclair, from all parts of town, has a story about reckless driving. The topic arises spontaneously at parties and parent chats on social media. You all live here. I'm sure you've experienced it firsthand. At the last council meeting, there was a discussion about ramping up traffic enforcement. The recent changes at Watchung Plaza are a case study of the limitations of that approach. For the first few weeks after left turns were banned, a police car lived at that intersection, and people generally followed the rules. But now there is no cop to monitor it, and people are back to making dangerous and now illegal turns. The enforcement approach is simply not scalable. Our problem is too big, and our police can't be everywhere at once. Another recent change is the addition of a four-way stop at Chestnut and Central. Right after the change, there were big orange cones in the middle of Chestnut Street. These acted as additional stop signs, but they also narrowed the street and served as impromptu traffic calming. And it worked. Cars actually slowed down. But it's been several weeks now, and the orange cones are gone, just like the police car at Watchung Plaza, and people are back to their old habits. But the difference is that orange cones are scalable, or better yet, raised medians with planters and landscaped curb bump outs. We could do real traffic calming on every street and every intersection in Montclair if we really wanted to. Which brings me to Vision Zero. In May, the council passed a resolution unanimously. It's impossible to do anything unanimously, creating the Vision Zero task force. This was a great first step, but the follow-up has been really disappointing. That resolution called for the first meeting to take place within 45 days. By my count, it has now been 161 days, and there still has not been a meeting. Meanwhile, we've torn up streets all over town to replace the curbs. I'm sure that's a great, worthwhile project, but it's also a perfect example of the power of the status quo here. We're doubling down on our existing infrastructure, even as everybody agrees that it needs to change. We're asking you all to help drive that change, to realize the potential of the plan that you all voted for. No more delays, please. Thank you.
Mr. LaPolla, go ahead.
Just an update on Vision Zero. I had a meeting with Jason Gleason and on the future consultant for Vision Zero, and we have reached an agreement whereby the consultant will be employed by the bid, and we will be contributing to that $15,000 for the first phase, 6 months. That is being processed as we speak, and so they will be scheduling their meeting in the next, I would say, week or a few days.
Thank you, Mr. LaPolla. Councilman
Thank you,
Russo.
Deputy Mayor. Now, I just want to follow up because last time we were here when we said we needed the other 11,000 that we were committing, and Councilor Iacobello sat here and I said, let's get it done. So I made a motion to put the 11,000 because that's all it apparently needs is that we consent to it. I don't know what you really need as the manager, but if there's 11,000 we committed, the 10,000 from the bid is there, but the other 11,000, I'd like to move that along again if there's a way to make a motion to get that done, because I think these folks are looking for not just a meeting, but the commitment of the finances.
The committing, my point was it has been committed, and they will have their funds within the next, a few days. So we didn't require, because we're giving a contribution to the bid to pay for the consultant so that Vision Zero can proceed, that we don't have to go through the whole resolution process. They will manage the consultant, and we're contributing the $15,000 for them for the first 6 months of the project.
But who's going to have the meetings? In other words, I'm not on that committee, but whoever, Peter's gone, he was the driving force. But who's going to get that thing going,
It's going to be Jason Gleason is here from the bid, and then also Lauren Torchio, who's the consultant that they will be hiring, who will chair the.
She's chairing.
Is she being called the
Yes.
executive director?
I don't.
Jason's going to be up
that's up to
speaking, so
them.
we'll ask him questions.
Is any council action required
No.
for the funding to happen?
No,
So
it's happening.
it's happening. I guess
Yes.
to Councilor Russo's point, we were here 2 weeks ago and we said we'd get it within a couple weeks, and it's a couple weeks later and we don't have it. So
No,
it'd be
actually,
great
if you
if we
talk to
get it within a
Jason,
week.
they have it. We have the commitment, the agreement's drafted
right.
between them and us, and it's a.
Having the commitment is not the same as having the money, right? It's
What he's saying is the check will be cut in the next couple of days.
understood.
So that's
I
my
would, that would be
So he
great.
can't say it any clearer than that.
Okay.
He's cutting the check. It's just going to take a couple
So
of
the
days.
check is in the mail, but I worked in consumer
goodness.
affairs, and that's always a phrase used, the check is in the mail, and it doesn't always get there, so.
Okay. You can walk it over.
I think we've had-
Sorry, I didn't get your name, just because you,
John Lang,
thanks, John.
yes.
Mr.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor, if I'm-
Yeah, Mr. Cummings, please.
So Jason, I guess you're about to come up, but no, you're not.
We got one more.
But, okay, I'll wait for you to come up. Thank you.
And we won't take your time either, Jason. We'll still give you the 3 minutes.
Good evening, council. I welcome you, sir. You seem to be new and old at the same time. But welcome, nonetheless, welcome.
See, Roger, that's already.
I'm here, I'm very concerned about the ordinance. I don't have all my information with me, but the tree ordinance. I came home one evening, and just as I opened up the door and looked out the window, I happened to see the company, whoever, cut down a tree and do away with it that was right in front of my residence. And I almost cried. And I think that something can be done better there. Okay, I don't have all my study and information with me, but I would like to, I'm new, so I don't know about changing ordinances or making amendments or what I have to do, but I'm going to do something about it. I have my own plan. It's in process. I'll bring it at the next meeting. But also, I know it's not in the budget because I was here when that ordinance was brought up before. Okay, one thing is that I would like you to, the people that you hired part-time, I would like them to become part-time and maintain the trees. Now, I know it's not in the budget, but I think I have a way of helping you with the budget, to obtain a new budget. And also, it's just the right thing to do. I'm a nature freak. And like I said, I almost cried. But, you know, my handkerchief wasn't large enough to catch my tears, so I had to be careful. But anyway, I thank you. I would like you to consider it in any way that I can help before I produce my plan. I thank you.
Just a question. You have a Teamsters jacket on.
Yes.
Were you in the Teamsters?
Yes.
Wow.
I'm still in the Teamsters,
Well,
actually.
I'm in the AFT, AFL-CIO, but the Teamsters were a great union for years, you know.
They are, sir. They are. And they brought up good people. Thank you. And thank you for you.
Councilor Price Abrams?
Yeah, thanks. Mr. Lepola, maybe you could just clarify for all of us and the resident, you know, if a tree is to be cut down for, I don't know what list of reasons, if it's maybe not healthy, or what are the reasons we're cutting a tree in front of, you're saying, sir, that it was on the, like, median in front of your property?
I'm talking about the new trees.
Are you talking to me? Are you speaking to me?
Sir?
Oh,
Are you speaking to me?
Councilwoman Price Abrams has asked you a question, sir.
No, I wasn't sure if you were speaking to me or not, but I was trying to.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. No, I was asking about the
No, it was a new
protocol.
tree.
So a new tree was put, or you're saying one was cut, or both?
It was cut. It was a new tree. It wasn't there long. They sent information around saying that the landlords had to be responsible for maintaining the tree. And I don't think anyone waited for the landlords to answer on whether they would maintain the trees or not. But my landlord asked me to maintain the tree.
Okay,
And
so
I
that
thought-
sounds very particular, but I want to ask a more general
Yeah.
question if I can of the manager.
Go ahead.
So, in other words, if the town is planting trees, I wasn't sure, it sounded like, I thought you were saying an older tree had
No.
been cut, which I understand the township
Yes.
does those things sometimes, and I just was looking for the protocols on how that happens.
I'll have to get back to you.
Okay, so appreciate, we'd just better educate, we all
Okay.
understand that
Well,
part.
quick question for you. Is this a tree that was in the Devil Strip? Not necessarily, is it a tree that was close to the street? Or?
Yeah, they are. All the new
Okay.
trees were planted close to the street.
So then that's township responsibility. The tree, if the tree was on your property on the other side, that's your responsibility, but if it's on
No, the
Devil Strip.
township planted
Right.
them and,
And then you said they took it down?
yeah, all new
Right.
trees, not just mine, one on this side, one on the other side of the street, all in the
And this is
fourth
Forest or
ward.
Claremont? Which street is this?
This was Claremont Avenue.
Claremont, okay.
And they were cut down in other areas also. All in the fourth ward, though.
Well,
Okay.
no, Claremont's not in the fourth ward, but the trees that you're referring to, I think that's what Mr. LaPola can get
okay.
on soon.
I will, what's the address on Claremont?
Pardon me?
What's
The address on Claremont,
Address
sir.
on Claremont?
I don't want to specify.
Well, you
Okay.
can-
But I live below,
Okay.
You could see Mr. LaPola, as they say,
Okay.
after class and give
I'll
it
do
to him
that.
privately.
Yeah.
We respect that. Thank you.
Time's up. Mayor Spiller had said he would give me 2 more minutes today, and he's not here, so should I wait?
I'd wait till he comes back,
Wait?
because Deputy Mayor Herlock didn't make that promise, sir.
right,
Thank
wait.
you, though.
Can you give me 1 minute?
I'm sorry, I
Spiller gonna
can't.
give me 2.
I've got plenty of people waiting here. We've given you more than 3. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
sir, for the consideration.
Absolutely. Thank you. Jason? Do you want to go ahead and do your...
Always a tough act to follow. No doubt.
Do you want to go ahead and do your thing, and then we'll go ahead and ask you questions separately
Sure.
so that you get your 3 minutes? sir.
Sure, absolutely. Jason Gleason, Executive Director, Montclair Center Bid, Deputy Mayor and Council, good evening. I just want to take the opportunity on behalf of myself, my Board of Directors, to welcome you, Councilor Terry, to the, I guess, re-welcome you, right, and tell you congratulations. Personally, I just wanted to say, I very much was struck and appreciated your comments in the paper and your comments tonight. Very nice sort of tone of candor and even-keeled nature of what you said. Appreciated that, right? And hope you can get everybody up here working like a team. That would be nice to see. So look forward to working with you, absolutely, and welcome. That's it. That's all I had to say. So by all means, fire away.
Who had questions for Mr. Gleason? Councilwoman Price
Well,
Abrams?
it just
Yeah.
sounded like there were some questions perhaps you could elaborate on. And, you know, Mr. LaPola, I think, answered to some degree, but if there's an open question left about the Vision Zero Task Force, so the bid will be the contracting agent to bring on Laura Torchio in her role.
It will be, yeah, for phase 1 here. And
her title, is it executive director or something else?
it will be chair.
Chair, okay.
Right, chair. And so I guess for lack of getting into the whole thing and to address, you know, I know that I'm not going to take cover for the council and the township's actions and bureaucracy and all that good stuff, but certainly we've had some managers come and go and certain things going on in the township here during the time that the council relayed those actions for Vision Zero to be set forth. But we certainly came to the table, wanted to offer some money, certainly wanted to see this action take forth in terms of Vision Zero. And I've sort of been waiting for it to take place as well. I got to say, the manager here has been steadfast in just getting this done with us. But between the 2 weeks ago where we said we were going to get it done real quick, my schedule, his schedule, Mr. LaPola works part-time, obviously, and then Laura's schedule, right, lining that all up, took us a minute because there's a agreement between us and the township now, and there's an agreement between us and the consultant that we're hiring, and then figuring out how the money's coming in and all that kind of good stuff. But I'm very confident that we will have received the township's funding within the next couple of days, and that we should have a meeting on the books at least within by the end of the week.
Fabulous. Okay.
Laura's already set a bunch of work in motion in terms of the first PowerPoint presentation for the meeting, communication software that we'll be using. We've got a Zoom account going. We've already done a bunch of pre-work getting the first meeting set and ready to go for it. So we're very excited to get it off the ground.
Well, thank you for taking on that, extra due diligence piece and working as, again, a collaborating partner. And, there's so much will in the community, and every time we see folks with their brightly colored vests on, and
yes, absolutely.
they're, we know they're out in the community as much as more so than they're in here, but appreciate both. But
Sure.
Being a key partner, really appreciate it.
Yeah, and members of Bike and Walk have worked with agents of the township as well, writing a very, very large grant to try to continue funding this project going forward, and a lot of work has been done setting it up in the time we've been waiting to get the first meeting going. So
Thank you.
Councilman Cummings?
Yeah, Jason, so I heard you say phase 1.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly this is a town-wide project.
Certainly, yeah.
Will the bid be able to legally continue the relationship as it gets outside of the bid area?
Yeah, I mean, we're one member of this board, right? I'm not chairing it by any stretch of the imagination. We're just helping facilitate getting it off the ground.
So you feel comfortable once it expands outside the bid area
Absolutely.
that you can still maintain
Serving a
support
capacity
with
on it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, there are near misses and I mean, I walked out of my office 3 months ago and saw a man laying dead under a dump truck. So, yeah, there are fatalities and hits and near misses in the bid every single day. We are very, very keen to see this get going. And so, yeah, absolutely, I will be serving in my capacity, and there are a number of people all around the township who are going to be serving on this board, great people, so 100%.
Jason, I just want to ask one question, Mr. Mayor. I want to make sure everybody knows how good a job you've been doing, because I cut 2 ribbons this last week. Halden Interiors, can you tell everybody where Halden Interiors' new location, and then Key Cuts Barbershop, 2 great businesses that just opened downtown through the bid, and I was happy to be there to cut the ribbon with the owners, so tell them.
Are you going to ask me to remember addresses?
Well,
off the
I
top
know
of my head right
address
now?
of Key Cuts Barbershop is 20 Church Street.
It is 20 Church, yep.
And then Halden Interiors is 218 Bloomfield.
200
Avenue.
block of Bloomfield Avenue,
There you
yep.
go. Interior Decorating Company and a haircut place, which I need to go to.
Thank you for giving our
Mr.
business
Gleason,
a
one
shot.
more question from Councilwoman Pryce
Yes,
Abrams.
thank you.
I mean, Schlager.
Yes.
I thought, did you have another question?
Thank you, Jason, for all your efforts. I was just curious if you know, will the Vision Zero Task Force meetings be open to the public? Or is it just in the beginning, maybe the committees and the people who've been appointed? Because I know we have so many concerned residents that perhaps if it was an
That is a very good question. I don't think it's come up yet.
Okay.
Certainly, the task force is large. I believe it's 23 people or 24 people. We'll probably get working like other various committees I've known to work throughout the township, which I don't know if they have been available to the
Okay.
public. I mean, certainly there will be minutes and notes and possibly even video recordings and things of that nature, and I'm sure there will be inquiry boxes, but I can certainly, we can talk about it
Sure.
amongst the committee.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not
Put
chairing the committee, I'm just a member, so.
Okay, good.
Yep,
Thank you.
no problem, but we will report back on that.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Next.
Hi, good evening. My name's Scott Ketty. I'm a father. I live in Montclair, and I'm here to represent my daughter, my other daughter who's at home, all the kids who cannot be here, all the dogs and animals in Montclair, the seniors who can't be here, the parents, pedestrians, cyclists, drivers, the whole 9 yards. We put together a deck. There was a small group of parents that got together because we're tired of getting run over or attempted to be run over constantly. This past weekend on Friday night, leaving Pineapple Express with my youngest and 2 of her friends, we were stopped at Grove, and there were cop cars out. Why were the police cars there? We ended up burying someone. A pedestrian was hit and killed. Technically on the wrong side, so they're in Bloomfield, but they might as well be in Montclair. We have had death after death after death. You will see from the slideshow when you look, and it will be in all your emails later. It is horrific. There is numerous upside-down cars. No car should be upside down in a town that has a 35-mile-an-hour speed limit. There is constant accidents. So let's go back to coming back from Pineapple Express. Fast forward the next morning, I go out for a run. A fellow Montclarian stops when I'm in the crosswalk. Great, has the window down, thanks. I have to do an emergency stop. I almost get creamed and killed myself. The fellow is in the crosswalk. He is half over the yellow line. He is F-bombing me left, right, and center. And I said, dude, you're in the wrong. And somebody died Friday night from this. And you know what he said? That's her problem. This is our problem. My kids can't walk safely to school. Dogs, we just put our dog just down. We constantly had to pick her up to go through every single crosswalk. This town, I have lived in numerous countries, numerous provinces, numerous states. This is off the chart statistically more dangerous. I can't give you those numbers. And you know why? Because they're held back and they're protected. So everything you're going to see there is taken off social media and other things. It's disgusting. You need to empower Vision Zero, and empowerment means give them money. You will see in there, you guys in 2022 gave $3 million to roads. $3 million, and you gave $57,000. You might as well count that in pennies. You gave nothing to safety. The outgoing mayor, his claim to fame was 71 miles of paving, 80 or 88 miles of road. Who cares? How about we actually protect our kids? This is ridiculous. The Vision Zero Task Force, how much have they been given by our town? I was here when Essex County gave them 10K. Big whoop, by the way. 10,000 is nothing. Almost everyone in this line, we could all donate 10,000. We need safety. When you look at that slide deck, think of any child you know. Think of any animal. Think of any senior. They're not going to make it. Crossing guards have been hit. Buses are getting hit. 2 in the last week. You're going to see accidents from October. They're disgusting. Upside down cars. And probably worst of all, we are condoning 40 miles an hour with an SUV per the New York Times on Friday is almost guaranteed death. We do not enforce within 10 miles an hour the speed limit. That is condoning. We are, what's the expression, merchants of death.
I'm going to have to ask you to wrap up your comments. You had your 3 minutes. Thank you, sir.
Nobody has a comment?
Yes, I do have a comment. You walked in a little bit late, I think, when I was asking for the money that was promised to be given. But it's not just a matter of money. In your list here, you talk about the speed limit. Years ago, we were fighting, and I'm glad Roger Terry's on the council now because he knows a lot about this as a former deputy police chief, fighting with the county to be able to reduce the speed limit on Grove Street, Valley Road, other streets. They have to be requested by us to reduce those limits. So the county will go along with us if we request. But you're looking at, I'm looking specifically at, you want 15 miles posted near schools, and we want to stop this 10-mile, 10-mile leeway that we give, right?
Yes.
And the 25-mile maximum across Montclair. That would be good, but on the county roads, we've got to get the county to approve. So I want to ask you to help me deal with Councilman or Commissioner, now they're called commissioners, not freeholders, Commissioner Brendan Gill and Commissioner Carlos Palmares, who covers Montclair, Bloomfield, Nutley, all those towns. We have to get them to help us reduce the speed limit on the county roads, which are major roads through Montclair, Valley Road, Grove Street, and all, Watchung. You know, at the Watchung intersection, we had a lot of trouble. There's going to be eventually a light, and Roger knows from past, and so does Bill and Robin. That intersection, we've never been able to really get that intersection to be safe. That's the most dangerous one around, Watchung and Park. So we're getting something done there. I'm not defending us. I'm just saying we've been addressing these issues. Now, to stop the speeding, I'm going to turn to Roger because in terms of the police, they can't be everywhere, and we always feel, they didn't do enough to stop the speeding. The speeding along Orange Road, Lori's been dealing with Orange and Harrison. People keep complaining about speeding and crashes and near deaths along Harrison and Orange. We don't run the police, you know what I mean? We just fund the police, and it's the manager that has to talk to the police chief, and maybe Roger will be able to have direct entree. So, Roger?
Speeding is a major issue throughout the entire community, not just here, but the region. And I know that the police department has been enforcing to the best of their ability, but as the counselor indicated, it's a difficult task. And you know who's doing the speeding? Your neighbors.
Everyone, I know that.
That's right.
I agree.
It's people that live right here in the community. So that message has to be given out to the people that live in the community to take it down a notch and slow down a little bit. But everybody's in a hurry,
Roger, I
That's true.
agree, but they're hitting up to 70 miles an hour in front of our house.
I agree.
And
I'm
I can
with
send
you.
you the speed charts. But Mr. Russo, back to your point, I've actually talked with Rick, is it Valda? I don't know I can't remember his last name. He actually pointed at you guys, he said, I'd do it in a heartbeat, get the town council to do it. I will happily work with you. I have worked with him on other things to make the streets safer. Mr. Terry, I'll take you up on that. Bernardsville, I dated someone in Bernardsville. She said, Scott, don't speed. I got pulled over at 26 miles an hour during school time. Why don't we follow Bernardsville? And unfortunately, speed begets more speed. We are encouraging speeding, which then for Waze and Google Maps puts more people here because it's quicker. We've got to stop it because we're actually saying, hey, come through Montclair, we're a highway. We actually, because we're not, 10 miles an hour is acceptable. And at 40 miles an hour is death with an SUV, death. I'll send you the Friday article.
And you're going to send us a video? You're going to send us a video, you said?
No, it's a whole slide deck. Slide deck, I'm going to be posting it. I'm going to be handing it out to parents. When you look at this deck, it's appalling. There are upside-down strollers and crosswalks. There are upside-down cars. There's accident after accident. I can only let my eldest walk to school. And I'm happy to work with you guys, but really, we need to empower, and I'm up here to be that beacon, because I really hope I come back in 2 or 3 months, and thank you all. That's my goal. I meant to start out with that. We got rushed. But I really hope I come back in 2 and 3 months and say, thank you for making changes, and I mean really big changes.
Councilwoman
Because-
Price Abrams, I'm sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I thank you for the work you've done and the passion you bring, and it's completely true and heartfelt, and it's horrifying, the data you're reporting. But I think you were in the room to hear that we are literally poised for whatever the delays have been to get the Vision Zero task force. I think this is exactly what's in the scope of that entity, and so this body isn't going to all take it on. That's the entity we created to create with all the kind of experts. That's not passing the buck. I'll be serving on it. Robin, are you serving on it? Who else is on it?
Okay, what do we say to the woman who just died?
Well, there
What
are
do we say
members
to
of
her?
us-
What do we
sorry.
say to the woman that died on Friday night? Too bad Vision Zero didn't get going yet. We didn't put the money in it. We
There's
don't
no
need
excuse for
certificate.
that, but I'm just saying,
But
what
she's
were
dead.
our response?
She's dead.
We aren't, there's no, that's an
Rest in
incontrovertible fact. What I'm saying is, the response you're getting is that we're standing up an organization of people who have expertise in all manner, and yes, could it have been sooner, should it have been? We can all review that, but it is about to start. It is the answer to your question,
Yes.
and I hope we will have good things to share with you soon.
But in all due respect, what is 5 months ago it got passed? She died needlessly, and that we cannot wait 5 years. And
Your point is a fair one, and honestly, I
At
actually,
25 miles an hour, let's table it right
I
now.
grew up in Burnetsville, Millington. I know exactly what you're talking about. That was a town, as a kid, you do not, and I've always wanted to get that image here, and we will work on it with the task
Our
force.
housing prices
You're right.
go through the roof.
Fair
That's
points.
what you need to talk people into. They will go up exponentially. If we became a Bernardsville, my God, we'd be like a little European. I get them on my phone all the time, hey, little European cities. We would make that list.
Yes, thank you.
And
I appreciate you
if we could
coming up.
actually do something, that'd be great.
Mr. Rousseau had a
Yes,
comment.
Mr.
I'm sorry.
Deputy Mayor, Mr. Keddy, just a second. If I could ask Mr. Lopolo to look into this. I know the speed limits on the county roads were something Mayor Jackson was working on with us before he left 3 years ago. And he was trying to get, because he's our county administrator now, he can have some real impact. Mayor Jackson runs the county government as an administrator, not as the commissioners. So the commissioners have to pass something, I think, Michael, to reduce the speed limit, but we have to request it, from what I recall. So if you could look into what we have to do, so we could do it. Can't do it tonight, but we have to get something done here to ask them to do something on the county roads. And that's just the county roads, because 35 miles goes to 45 very easily. That's the problem on Grove, Valley, and all. I know on Valley, where where the Acme is, there's the Bel Air House, where my mother lived for many, many years. They had such potential accidents and accidents there over the years. Roger knows this, because the older folks would cross, and there was no way to get across because of the cars. Now, they did get the county to reduce the speed limit to 25, but they really needed to reduce that whole stretch, going up to Bellevue Avenue, where Bill knows. Maybe, and it's always crowded, so you really can't speed, but there's a real problem at that one spot where the Acme is, where people would go so fast that the older folks would get killed, or almost killed, and they couldn't cross. So the county has to do it at our request. That's all I'm saying. I want Mr. Lopolo to look into it.
I love your initiative,
Okay,
and that's
well-
what I'm hoping, because Vision Zero should take over and run with it. Obviously, I have a huge passion. They're more diplomatic. They'll get it done. But this is the fireworks going off. This is life and death. We just had someone die. That's her problem. That's what he said after almost hitting me. My kids should grow up with a father, and an able-bodied father.
Agreed. Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
We would definitely appreciate your comments.
And, Mr. Russo, one last thing. Take a look at the picture with the roads. You'll see.
I'm going to do that. And you could have my seat on.
That's why I said it
You could
represents
have my
seniors,
seat
too.
on Vision Zero.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, all. My name is Caroline Smigaki. I'm going to be piggybacking off of a lot of what you're going to be hearing. I'm at 534 Upper Mountain Avenue. You may know it if you pass by it by the two skeletons that are in the front with a sign that says "Slow down, bro," because in the past 2 weeks, we've had a car go through our fence. We had a car nearly flip over in the front of our house. And we also had a fender bender whereupon our crossing guard was almost hit. So, we're right there by the crosswalk that goes to Bradford. Are we waiting till a kid gets killed, and I'm hearing a lot about like Vision Zero and all the stuff, and it's awesome. But I'm not really seeing a timeline, and then I'm hearing a lot about like this is the county, this is the town, but like, I just don't want my kids to get killed going to school. And I'm happy if you'd like to put in an RFP to do the signage with my skeletons and my paint while we wait, but I need to know something's happening. I know that, Mr. Herlock, you spoke to my neighbor, Ms. Veach, about, let's see, there were 3 engineering studies. The most recent one was in March, that there was a breakdown in communications with the Department of Community Services, specifically the engineer's office. And I wondered how we can pick up that communication sometime soon, because
They are.
like my
Yeah.
homeowner's insurance is not like that amazing.
No, understood, and it's embarrassing, quite frankly, that it got to that point. But to piggyback on my colleague Mr. Russo's comments, this form of government really ties our hands. I can talk to Mr. Lapola, the township clerk, and the township attorney, and that's it. And I was astonished to find out that and we've spoken about this, Mr. Lapola, about the fact that the police, and I'm not taking your time, by the way, because I'm using.
Oh, that's cool.
That the police department had done the studies relatively quickly for us, and then they got lost in the engineering's office, which is absolutely, totally unacceptable. I wouldn't have known that, nor would my colleagues, because of the way this government is set up. But rest assured, we have spoken, and it is being addressed, and it is being addressed quickly.
For that particular intersection?
There were 3, actually, that we talked about with your neighbors.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. I have to come by and see the artwork, actually.
I have a picture.
As long as there's no clowns. I don't like clowns. I can't do clowns. Yeah.
Here's my card. I passed it today because I teach at Montclair State, so I saw. And my student was just here too before, Anthony Foster. And this young lady, your intern, Councilman Herlock's intern, is a student at Montclair State.
Student at
So we
Montclair
passed that
State.
area on the way to the school.
Sabrina, who's here tonight as well.
Sabrina, you may have seen that
Yeah.
signs, right? Yeah. Thank you for the signs.
Thank you.
Just let me know. I'll put my hat in the ring while we wait for the.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Hello, Deputy Mayor and Town Council. I've got notes because I was a little nervous last time. My name's Stephen Meyer. I live on Nassau Road near the intersection of Valley and Mount Hebron. And I have 2 points to make tonight. One, we need to empower the Vision Zero Task Force. I'm glad that it's getting started, but to start implementing pilot projects and other changes ASAP. It sounds like the council is really behind that. And I'm looking forward to action, not just meetings. To be candid, I was disappointed to learn that the town decided to wait another year to apply for the federal Safe Routes to School grants. While I understand the rationale that the Vision Zero Task Force should guide us, there was plenty we could have asked for now that the federal government would have paid for that would have been helpful in making changes sooner than later. So to me, that underscores the need to empower the task force with the resources our town and community already have at our disposal to start implementing changes that have been proven to work elsewhere. Some of the ones that John mentioned are great examples. We need to start seeing safety improvements now. And so I'm really hoping we have your commitment to make the task force a body of action that drives immediate change. The second point, while enforcement may not scale, I think as others have mentioned, we need to start seriously enforcing the existing safety rules and basic traffic laws wherever we can. People routinely drive well over the speed limit and recklessly all over town. You've heard from others about the number of collisions that occur on a daily basis. My understanding is that the town sets the speed. We make a recommendation, but according to the Essex County Sheriff's Department, we are the ones in the driver's seat there. So I'm hoping with the Vision Zero Task Force, we can really lean into some of the speed discussions that we've been having earlier. From my house, I can see cars speeding down Valley after coming off or heading on to the highway. I witnessed more accidents than I can count at the intersection of Valley and Mount Hebron, all within what should be designated as a school zone for Bradford Elementary. I was crossing there myself on a weekday morning when a school crossing guard was hit not 20 feet from me as I was walking with my son to his bus stop because I don't let him walk there on it by his own. On the weekend nights, things are even worse. Valley turns into a speedway, and as you know, there was at least 1 death in the past year further south. If the town can allocate police to protect utility and construction vehicles, I have to believe we can do the same to enforce existing rules, especially around schools and known dangerous crossings. We should be known as a town where you have to drive safely and not a shortcut that you can speed through. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a quick question to the deputy mayor, because I know he's been working on this. This is for you. That corner, which my students now, and my student who left is in charge of this, investigating the old lights that Bill has been working on. There's 4 old lights, as you
Yep.
know.
Yeah, I know them
right?
all.
They're not, that they're not working, but they're very old. They can't even be seen. The county commissioner, Brendan Gill himself, had an accident there and has been working with Councilman Deputy Mayor
I know.
Herlock. Now, my students are going to look at this because it's gone on since my last class, which they addressed it, and they looked at it, and they see it's still there. So there's this problem of county roads, you know, and town roads getting it coordinated. So I know Bill is working very hard, Deputy Mayor, with the county, but that's the corner where you live, Nassau, right?
Yeah. And I remember the study was like 2 years ago.
Right.
Yeah, we haven't seen any
These
changes
things
yet.
take so long. Let me just tell you a brief story, and Roger may remember this. On Grove Street, a gentleman got killed. He was a neighbor of mine. He got killed crossing because our own garbage truck went so fast, refuse truck went so fast on Grove, killed him. It took 10 years to get a light where Alexander Avenue is, where Mount Hebron, Alexander, and all that section you see that's pretty new along Grove. Alexander Avenue has a nice set of lights now, but it took 10 years to get the state, the county, and the town to all pay 1/3 each to get it done. I was mayor at that time. It was such a problem because you have 3 levels of government that are going to fund something, you know, and get this all coordinated. Plus, the police had to show a justification for it. What I kept saying is the man died, you know? So we have a problem with the bureaucracy on all levels coordinating with us. We just, as Bill said, we don't have the power to just say, put a light.
Right, I'm
Which we
asking
need
you
on
to-
many corners, we need traffic
Right.
lights.
And I'm asking you to empower Vision Zero to break through bureaucracy. I think that's what it's designed to do. You've got a consultant, you've got money, you've got a lot of talent, you've got a lot of energy. There's a lot we can get done. I think people are looking for it, so I
All right, thank
really,
you.
really appreciate your empowering it.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Eric D'Amato, 25 Norwood Avenue. Welcome, Councilor Terry, or welcome back. And I just want to say I love the new civility. I actually do. I'm not being sarcastic. I really like it. I like it so much I'm going to put aside the mean stuff that I was going to say tonight. However, I think we need to lay down some ground rules for this new civility. The first is that doesn't mean that you stop disagreeing with each other, because when you stop disagreeing with each other is when I'm really going to be concerned about what's going on here. The second thing is very tart, harsh critiques by people of officials or official bodies is not uncivil, and it's not a disagreement that can be written off. We have a differing of minds. I don't have a disagreement with Robert Menendez right now. And it's not uncivil for me to say I think he belongs in prison, possibly for the rest of his life. The same rules apply here. And with that, I'd like to introduce the next speaker, Lauren Berman.
Lauren's the one with this resolution, right?
Hi, Lauren Berman. I live on Highland Avenue. We are coming up on budget season again. As far as I know, we're still waiting for quite a bit of data you asked for in January during the budget presentations to support passing this year's budget. I'm referring to information the council asked of Chief Herman. Councilor Price Abrams, you asked for mutual aid data showing how often Montclair responds to calls in other towns and vice versa. Councilor Cummings sought information regarding the 2021 firefighters promotional exam. Councilor Iacobello stated in an email he forwarded to me that he required a benchmarking exercise comparing Montclair to other New Jersey towns in order to add any new firefighters to the force. These were all good asks. We should make our budget decisions based on information. Many of us residents followed up on the requests for this information during the next several months, but we collectively never received it, and yet you funded the increase of the fire department by 3 firefighters without having received the data to support it. Since that time, we've seen even more explosive allegations emerge about the discrimination in the fire department. We've read about the overwhelming vote of no confidence against Chief Herman. The Michigas with Bob Beneke, who is the main defender of this year's budget, went down. And we were promised by interim township manager Hartnett that the O'Toole-Scrivo report, prepared by Chief Herman's Cedar Grove neighbor, was about to be released. And months later, the report has yet to see the light of day. Meanwhile, other areas that need our tax dollars have continued to emerge. Residents continue to show up in need of senior services. A movement is underway related to the desperate funding needs for our schools. The bike bus advocates are in regular attendance needing money for their program, helping the physical and mental health of our children. Every meeting seems to have a new resident speaker afraid to drive or walk in Montclair, begging for action to help pedestrian safety. You have enough time before you need to pass next year's budget to get ahead of it. And I'm asking that you start asking for all of the relevant supporting data now that will be needed to make fact-based budget decisions. Our budget is a reflection of our values. We all want to be safe, but we don't want to have the biggest professional fire department in our state for a town of our size at the expense of everything else that's important to us. Please get ahead of this now so this year's budget can better reflect where the residents want our tax dollars to be spent.
Hi, good evening. I'm Christina Thomas, 257 North Mountain Ave. I went to school here in Montclair from kindergarten through high school, and my friends call me Chrissy. First, I wanted to thank everyone who came out to the AAPI Festival to kick off Diwali. It was so fun. Last week, after the council meeting, I went to another meeting at which Sean Spiller was the moderator, talking about how we need to protect our democracy, which is an advocacy group that Sean founded with the N.J.S.A. It was interesting. That meeting had a lot of wonderful and diverse voices that came together to talk about how we can't let small factions of dangerous people take away our rights as citizens. There was a consensus at the end of the meeting, and that was that we need to empower more Black women and get us into positions of power. So I was really disappointed after watching Sean pander to that crowd, knowing that morning he and 4 members of this council, Herlock, Robin, Lori, and Sean, voted against Renee Baskerville, who served on this council for more than 12 years and only left her seat to run for mayor in the election of 2020. She may have won, it was really close, and not all the votes were counted. Unfortunately, she didn't have power to fight it in courts, and she wanted to see a smooth transition of power, like the stateswoman she is. More important, she's the slate that Peter Jacobellis ran on. Perhaps it's more accurate to say that the 4 of you voted for Roger Terry, who wants to bring calm to this group. He did serve on the council for 1 term, I believe, from 2008 to 2012. I know you have a glowing history in Montclair, not only as a wonderful asset to the community in general, but also with law enforcement. I think you also have a consulting contract with the Montclair Public Schools. The only question I have is why, as head of the NAACP, did you sit silent and do nothing as 3 Black firefighters who are now suing the town were passed over for promotions because of an unfair exam? Why did you speak poorly of Bruce Morgan, who basically brought you a smoking gun? To me, it's really alarming that this small faction of dangerous people who act clandestinely at midnight votes and in violation of OPMA and OPRA and a host of other laws are now attempting to make the terrible fire promotions retroactive, which should alarm us all. We need to protect our democracy, and that should start on this dais in Montclair. I hope you bring a lot more than calm. I have faith in you. Please.
Thank you very, very much. May I say something?
Yes, Mr. Terry, please.
Well, first of all, we bought about the suit, for the Black firefighters. We produced that, we forwarded it, and because of litigation, the NAACP cannot get engaged with that before. So there's been a lot of talk back and forth with that, and we've been communicating with, the manager in reference to that. Just want to make that clear.
No, thank you. That's good to know, because I thought that the NAACP did nothing about that.
Oh, no, we did. We did what we had to do, and all we can do.
I think you could do more, but I just hope.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Mariana Horta. I live on Gordonhurst Avenue. So, several Montclair residents, and I'm among them, have been coming here for 6 months to talk about sharing pilot revenue with our schools. And over those 6 months, we heard a lot of misinformation from these guys. I assume that people were mistaken. I was mistaken about a few things, and I had to fact-check everything I heard and everything I assumed. So I'm not accusing anyone of lying. But some of the things I heard were pretty absurd. For example, If pilots were shared, they would count towards a 2% tax levy increase cap on the school side. That's not true. We all know the pilots are non-tax revenue, and if the schools were to get any of it, it would be non-tax revenue outside the cap. Another one, that pilots can only be used for capital expenditures. I think the person who told me that is not paying attention right now, so she's not going to tell me that it is not the case, but I was hoping to hear that.
Are you speaking to me? I don't think I ever said that that was the case. What I said, what I had learned from other places, is that was recommended by others that it be used as capital. That, I never said it could not be. I said it was, because I had made inquiries with Cedar Grove, with Princeton, and some other places, better part of a year ago when we started these conversations. So I don't know.
Well,
You can have all the opinions.
specifically. You
Excuse
told
me?
me specifically. I heard that pilots are for capital expenditures only. And I said, that is not the case. They may choose to use it for capital only, but that's not the case.
I
You
said it was
you
recommended to
I,
me.
I spoke with people in
okay.
Cedar Grove, and they told me that was the case. That's why you told me. But excellent. So you know that that's not the case. Excellent. So another one is that it would be necessary to renegotiate existing pilot agreements to share those funds with the schools. That is absolutely not the case. Pilot revenue is unrestricted. It enters the general fund, and money is fungible. The owners of pilot properties have absolutely no say on the municipal budget and how you spend the money in your general fund. Can we all agree on that? Or does anyone think that it's necessary to revisit the agreements in order to share?
You can do anything we want with that money.
Do you have argument? Do you have agreement?
I will tell you, if you're asking for question and answer, you're using your time. First of all, I'm writing notes, so if you thought I was not paying attention when you were speaking, I just want to be clear to everybody that I'm sitting here writing notes as I'm listening. That is what I do. But the second point is, I've asked for an internal conversation on these. Since you're asking Q&A, I'm answering you. And I'm going to get a briefing, and then I will have been properly advised on all the questions. And so, to the extent that you want a Q&A, that was my answer to you. So I'm not answering you as to what I agree or understand at this point. I'm waiting to be fully briefed, so I feel like I do understand.
Basically, you are absolutely free to choose not to share pilots with the schools. And we need to move the discussion to talk about the desirability of doing or not doing it, right? Because it can be done. Cedar Grove is doing it. Their agreement with their schools is perfectly legal, which is another absurd argument I heard from a counselor. So can we please move on and stop saying it can't be done and start telling me why you don't want to do it? Because this is something about which reasonable people can disagree. Some people want it, some people don't want it. Some people want all revenue in this town to be first dedicated to police and fire, and everything and everyone else needs to take a cut. That is one point of view that has been winning every budget argument in this town for a long time. But I'd like to move this direction to why not, and we prefer not to, because we can disagree on that. We cannot disagree on whether it can be done. Sí se puede, it can be done, okay? And briefly, even if you never share this revenue with the schools.
I'm sorry, I'm giving her a little bit more time just because there was a back and forth, so.
Oh, well, let me she asked for answers, so I just.
No, that's, I'm
Okay,
not,
that's
because
fine.
you looked at me about the time, so that's why I'm
Okay,
explaining.
that's fine.
But you do have a little bit more time. Please don't abuse me.
It's very short. Even if you intend to never share pilot revenue with the schools, please come to your negotiations about the Lackawanna pilot better armed with information about the impact that you have with the schools. Look at your old pilots. You have a horrible pilot at 11 Pine Street. They've been paying the same since 2006. How would you like if your taxes hadn't gone up since 2006? That one is absurd.
With
And
that, I am going to ask you to wrap it up now, because I did give you more time.
So you need to be better armed about the impact on the schools and make sure the municipality gets the money for that.
Thank you.
Mayor, Deputy Mayor, I just want to respond a little bit. because we get all these postcards. Roger, you're going to get used to getting postcards. I assume you're going to send postcards to our new councilman. But the pilots to schools issue, and I spoke to Mr. Plasek even today. And he said to me again, which I said when I abstained on voting on Lackawanna, was that I want not him, but us to make a commitment, before I would vote for this project, to make a commitment to dedicate all the money that comes from that Lackawanna development to the schools. Now, someone was up here who said that we should give 57%. That's the figure that we've always come up with, or half, whatever it is, but something, a substantial amount. And then, of course, as you're saying, 11 Pine is a very bad pilot. We should renegotiate it. And maybe we should see if the money, but it's not the negotiating of the pilot. The pilot has to be paid. If it's a bad pilot, you're right, we shouldn't renegotiate. But just so everybody understands again, we get the money. The law says that 95% of the money goes to the township. 5% goes to the county. Now, one of my students here, and he's actually in my class, said that Mayor Jackson years ago said we could get a lot of money from pilots for the library and the schools. This was when he was mayor a few years ago. We believe that we have to do at our level the negotiating with the developers, but then we have to allocate, as you're asking, so many others are asking, allocate the money to where we think it's best. And I think we ought to allocate pilot money from the new development substantially to the schools. And I would still not vote until we get that agreement among us, now this is among the council, that we're going to devote the money to the schools. So that's my position on pilots.
Thank you.
It can be used for that, and we should.
Thank you. Next, please.
Hi, the three of us represent the Civil Rights Commission. My name is Leslie Brown, and I am the chair of the DEI committee within CRC. We are coming here today because we, I guess for the most part, feel that we're not very well known in the neighborhood. We want to uplift who we are and what we do, and especially in the advent of hate crimes, bias, systemic racism that we are now experiencing. So we are really here today to just speak to what we do and hopefully have your support as well. The Montclair Civil Rights Commission serves as an advisory board to the Township Council. The CRC recommends programs designed to eliminate discrimination, addresses problems involving tensions in the community, and reviews the township affirmative action policy. The CRC has 4 committees: public safety, which is police and fire department issues, education, affordable housing, and diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so that's important for you all to know, because at times I think the Township Council may not remember that we're here. So.
Hi, everyone. I'm Madeline Gale, also a Civil Rights Commissioner. And I just wanted to read and let people know that we are here for people of color, including folks who are Black, Asian, Latino, Arab, Native American, and others. We're also here for folks who are LGBTQIA+, women, disabled, low income, elders, Jewish, Muslim, and others. And please contact us from our community on any issues of racism, classism, sexism, homotransphobia, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, ableism, ageism, and the other forms of discrimination, and we'll investigate and do our best to support and protect you and correct any injustices that you've experienced. And when I say you, I mean all the people that live in Montclair. Thanks.
My name is Rabina Spence, and I am also a Civil Rights Commissioner. And I'm closing up with, we want to invite people to contact us with any kind of concerns, ideas, initiatives to influence change across Montclair, or to make sure that we keep diversified, fair, and treat each other with respect. We want to do this as a model in Montclair, which would be nice, and also that would be a model for our state and also for our country. We can be contacted by a long email address, civilrightscommission@montclairusa.org, and we can also...
is the same as the regular signature, so it's Montclair NJUSA.org.
Yeah, NJUSA.org, yes.
Yep, yep.
And we have our meetings typically every third Thursday. We are upstairs, and we are open to the public. So we're here in this building every third Thursday, with exception, I believe, of 2 months of the year. But we can be contacted at any time with any kind of concerns. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just-
Yes, Councilor President,
Yeah.
and then Mr. Russo.
Well, I want to thank the three of you for coming, and I've had the privilege of sitting at your table on many occasions. I know I don't make every single meeting, but as you noted, you work through these 4 different committees. You know, I know the volunteers, all of you as you are very dedicated, committed, thorough, you know, bring your intellect and inquiry to these concerns and tackle thorny questions of everything you just raised as the kind of things we want to make sure that we are treating people and that people have their hearing or whatever it is, but that people get, everyone's civil rights should be abided. So I just thank you as those guardians, and, you know, you're a body of about, I don't know, 12 people, I don't know how many, but 12. So anyway, I thank you for your service, and like I said, I've had the opportunity to sort of see up close some of what you grapple with, and, you know, including everything you named and probably more. So thank you all.
Councilor Russo?
Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Leslie, I'll address you because the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, I'm sure you might have mentioned it, but I didn't hear it because I'm having a special interest in what they need is the disability community. So those who have the disabilities are represented by our DW committee, PWD, people with disabilities. They just brought to our attention the need for something to be done about all the sidewalks all around town that are so bad that they need to have them fixed. Well, we just can't fix everybody's sidewalks, but that is an issue now of the ability to be mobile on their own, to have self-sufficiency, you know, with either those scooters or the wheelchairs. So just look into that, because I know you work with them. They're a specific committee for the disabled community, but it's a civil rights issue. So thank you for keeping in touch and working with them. Thank you.
Can I ask you to send us an email with that information?
Okay, I will. And then you know Wendy.
You're on our list.
Right, and you know Wendy from the committee, the chair of the committee. She'll be in touch with you on this too. But they just brought to my attention just this week that the sidewalks are so bad, you know, and that's an issue throughout town, but it's not something we can just wave a wand and fix all the sidewalks. If it's in front of someone's house, they're basically responsible, unless our tree, I think Michael, correct me if I'm wrong, if one of our trees has lifted a sidewalk and ruined it, then we would take action. But if somebody's sidewalks are crumbling, then we have a problem. And Councilor Schlager knows on Gray Street, right? Robin, we had so many problems. It's all fixed now. I went past Gray today, and it's all fixed. Everybody did their job of doing it, but we had sort of a selective enforcement at that time. Somebody said their neighbors had bad streets, bad sidewalks. We have that all over town, but the Disabilities Committee has brought to our attention that they want us to take action so people can be more independent and mobile. And I'm not sure how to deal with that. I really don't. So maybe we'll talk some more about it. Thank you for your work.
Thank you, Councilor. Yes, Councilwoman Schlager, please.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. A couple of things. I just wanted to thank you all for your work. I know you personally, and I know how hard you work and how diligent you work. If somebody wanted to contact you confidentially, is that they would do that through the email as well? Because sometimes it's hard for people to come forward with issues.
It is. I've told a lot of people, though I am not the chair. Krista Rappaport is the chair. But if people are comfortable and they want to reach out to Madeline Gale, they can reach out to me on social media or on scale.madeline@gmail.com, and I would give that information to Krista, however they feel comfortable.
Okay. I would also add that we should
we
get
have them at the
approach
mic?
being out in the community.
I don't know if the people can hear me.
They do. Can you hear me though?
I don't know if you should be.
If you wouldn't mind coming up to the mic, just so that we can make sure. Since you're here, yes, please, if one or all.
So, yeah, the question was confidentiality, because it is hard for people sometimes to, it's embarrassing, people, I don't have to tell you the various reasons, but they can contact you confidentially, privately, okay?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
And I was saying that people have come to us even when we've been out at a restaurant or a bar or something and talked to us about issues, and they don't always want to actually contact us at the Civil Rights Commission. So I was giving my personal email, which I'm comfortable doing, gail.madeline@gmail.com. Then I can bring that to them, but I think that sometimes people are afraid to send it to a town's email, and I understand. So they could contact me on social media or anybody else. They can look up the Civil Rights Commissioners on our website, and which is on the town's website, and they could, I'm sure, contact any of us.
Okay.
Right.
And I will
Okay.
say, a good example is the black firefighters. There is one who I was in constant contact with on a
Okay.
confidential level.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, we
Okay.
do understand that people have sensitive issues. Just last week or weekend before, I was approached at a local place where we were having fun, and someone said, "Hey, I need to talk to you about this."
Right.
And it's held confidential. We would
Okay.
never abuse that at all or disclose anything about anyone. And we get approached at different times at different places all around town. And it's not just through that. And I do understand, as we said before, we'll reiterate that it's hard for people when something is so sensitive. And I had a person who was crying about what they had experienced, to just push a button for an email with no names attached, no connection of a real person. And that's what's something that we will always work on and try to get that word out, that we're real people and we care.
Great,
And I
thank
have one
you.
more thing to add,
Yeah.
since the black firefighter thing was mentioned more than one instance. We don't just address issues of discrimination for people in the community, be it from other neighbors or from local businesses or any, and it's in any environment, but also we address issues of people that work for the town and in the different realms, as like the black firefighter.
Right.
And we hope that the town council will hopefully listen to the concerns and maybe take some of our suggestions and go with them as much as possible.
Thank you all for your service.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate that.
I have
Thank you.
one other thing to add, if you
Yes,
don't mind.
no, go right ahead,
okay.
Councilwoman.
So getting back to the sidewalk issue, the families on Gray Street, of which there were a couple of dozen families that were affected by that and their sidewalks. I had a community meeting with all of them in their street, looking at the sidewalks. What they ultimately decided to do, they collectively got together and hired one contractor to do all of the sidewalks, and each family, each home got a bit of a discount by doing that, which was really, it worked for everybody, and including the contractor, and it was done very quickly. So at that meeting, what did come up, because that was so successful, what did come up was that perhaps maybe the town could look into doing a similar thing, contracting with some contractors. I don't even know if it's legal to do that, but to engage with some contractors that homeowners, concerned people that want to fix their sidewalks, because it is expensive, can do it. We could do it collectively and get a discount, and do it in a time frame. Because what happens is people need to park in the street when it's done, when the curb cuts are done and the aprons are done. So we were able to on Gray Street relax the rules so homeowners could park in the street for a couple of nights while the sidewalks dried. So we worked with them to assist them. We could do that all over town, perhaps, if it's something the council would like to look into.
It's a great idea.
Or if it's legal to do.
And we have, just so you know.
Okay.
I know in the first ward, there's at least 3 streets that are private streets that the
Oh,
town
yeah,
are
you
not
have some of
responsible
those,
for.
yeah.
And we did get the neighbors together
Mhm.
through the council, and we were able to use one of the cooperatives that we have, the county
Perfect.
cooperatives,
Yep.
Bergen Cooperative, Mars, whatever.
Yep.
So we have done it, and we can do it, and I think it's a great idea, Councilwoman.
Good, okay.
Thank you.
So maybe we could look at that going forward, Mr. LaPola. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, I would just like to remind, since Robin brought it up, because it's back exactly a year ago in October, I have the message from Marlon Brown saying, please work on this. But so it's 20 residents came. What we were accused of is a selective enforcement because one resident on the street said that the neighbors had bad sidewalks. Now, it's true that all the streets have these problems. But somehow our fellows went out and they immediately did a citation. They marked red marks, Michael, big R's that said replace. There were red marks on people's sidewalks. So it really was a mess for a few months until Robin got this involved. So this fits in with what the Disabilities Committee people then are asking, that we look at this town-wide. So if there's some way you could follow up, I don't know how we can do what Robin did, but that'd be great. Not that we're gonna pay for everybody's sidewalk, but if our tree causes a sidewalk to raise up, then of course we're responsible.
I do recall when I lived in Westfield that the town had a similar program. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure it's legal.
And the easements vary, Mr. Cummings. I know you had brought that up. They're not necessarily the trees between the sidewalk and the curb, although most likely they are, but some of the easements actually cross it depending on the street, because I've dealt with this before over the years as well. Some of those trees that are on the house side of the sidewalk, for lack of a better word, the town has an easement in that as well, and we have responsibility sometimes for those trees as well. I see we have one more public comment. Please, sir. Thank you.
John Caulfield, 119 Gordonhurst Avenue. Can you do block grants? Like, can we do block grants for residents that, it's a give back at the end of, I don't know how they work. I mean, we can figure that out, but ways of granting those types of repairs.
It's a great idea.
That's a good question.
Mr. LaPolla, do you happen to know?
That's really an issue of whether or not the council wants to fund it. It's,
Correct,
you know,
yes. But I think it might be a
Right,
good
I
thing.
know it is, but I just wanted to know if you've had any experience, whether you've done it before.
My recollection of
Don't
Westfield.
walk away. We're going to answer your question, sir. We answer them sometimes, actually.
Okay.
My recollection is when I lived in Westfield was that the homeowner and the town split the cost of the sidewalk, but that all depends on how much, you know, whether or not it's
We
an
could look into
expensive
it.
proposition. It took a long time. You were on a list if you wanted to have it done, but those are all things you would,
I mean,
have
I've
to
been
consider.
on the other side of being enforced to take a tree down, for example. I just feel like there's something that the town and the community can do together to help out. And I was there for Gray Street, and I think I saw that, and I just feel like we can do something better. Thank
I
you,
appreciate you bringing that up. Thank you. With that, I'm going to close. No, sir, you already were up. You'll get your other.
I want to just add something about the tree thing that's important.
No. Sorry, you're already up. You can do it next time. Mr. Spiller still owes you 2 minutes on top of your 3. All right, I'll give you 20 seconds. No, I'm not even going to give you that much. What do you want to say? Go ahead.
I want to say that I read the ordinance.
Can you please go up to the mic, though, so that people can hear you? Thank you.
I read the ordinance about trees and uproots and all that, but I also read that whether the township.
Thank you, Mr.
Excuse me,
Pan.
whether the township planted the tree or whether the landlord or whatever planted the tree, that no matter what happens, that it's always that the city don't have to pay for it. The person has to pay for it, that's the landlord or whoever, no matter who uprooted it. Okay, I think that's important.
And I appreciate you saying that. And I don't want to, I'm going to change hats now from deputy mayor to lawyer. And I hate to give the lawyer answer, and the lawyers out there will appreciate this. It depends, actually. It does depend. Well, with that, I am going to close public comment, and we will move on with our agenda. Now, I know, Councilwoman, that's fine, whatever you prefer. We can get to the pending ordinance. This is a second reading. Ordinance is O-23-36. This is the ordinance amending Chapter 48, Personnel Regulations, Article 1, Section 48-1, 48-8, and 48-15, which respectfully or deal with applicability, accumulated leave, vacation schedule for the Code of Montclair, and I so move.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Is there anyone who wishes to be heard on the pending ordinance? Yes, please.
I just have a quick, you can give a lawyer's answer to this, but 48-8, what is the substantive change that we're doing?
That's the accumulative leave. Mr. LaPolla, can you please answer the gentleman's question?
Well, the whole purpose of the ordinance was the laws were changed in 2007 and 2010. If you were hired before May 20th, 2010, the old laws apply subsequent to that.
Understood.
When you retire, the cumulative amount, no matter how many sick days that you had, it was $15,000. We currently are not in compliance because we allowed for terminal leave, which is not only not in compliance with the law, but an administrative nightmare because people then just leave tomorrow and they're paid for months until they exhaust their time. So this is to bring us into compliance with 2007, 2010. Now, primarily this ordinance right now affects those people who are not in unions because the courts have ruled that everything on this issue is negotiable.
Right.
So we will be reviewing all of the labor contracts to see where they are not in compliance. And so far, it's looking good, but if they are not, some things the court says unilaterally changes, other things we have to negotiate. But that's the purpose of this ordinance, is trying to clarify what we do and bring it clearly in compliance with the statute.
That's what I assumed. Do you know, do we have visibility on the aggregate liability represented by sick days pre-2010? Do we know what the liability is?
I will have to check with the finance department, but I don't know what the total exposure is, but I can get that for you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to be heard on the, yes?
How will this affect current municipal employees?
For those hired after May 20th, 2010, which they're not eligible to retire yet, but when they do retire, okay, when they reach their 25 years, whatever, 20 years, 25 years, whatever, you get compensated for accumulated sick time that's limited to $15,000. Prior to that, we negotiate the terms. Our terms have always been, you can accumulate up to, you can be paid up to 130 days, but we've used it as extended leave as opposed to just making payments. Some of these things these are by statute. We can't force that change on people before the law was changed. So that's basically, it's not impacting anyone. It impacts current employees in the future maybe, but it's in compliance with the law that was in effect before they became employed here.
So I don't know if you know the answer, but if you actually make the fire contracts retroactive, will that have any effect on
No,
this?
it's nothing to do with that.
Thank you.
So, Mr. McCall, I think a simple question is to find out how many employees started before May 2010.
I can get you that number.
Yeah, because those are the ones who would be eligible for the previous
Right.
change.
Yes.
Anything else, Mr. Cummings? Okay. Any other council questions, comments before? I'm just going to go back for a second, though, Mr. Lupola. I had asked you at the last meeting when this first came up. I just want to make sure no one is losing any accumulated time, correct?
They're not.
And there's been no onerous requirements that, okay, I have to use my time within 6 months of
No.
January of 2024, when we only have 2.5 months left in the
there
year or
is-
whatever
there
we
is
have.
not. The statute says you're supposed to use your vacation time no later than, even if you carry vacation time over, it has to be used by the following year. You can't accumulate, 150 days of vacation time. With exceptions for emergencies or their permission of the manager, et cetera. But for the most part, for example, we had certain circumstances this year with with the cyber attack, et cetera, which is ultimately going to lead us to allow people to carry time over a little longer. But other than that, we make people abide by that. So this is not going to change anything. Is there a change that you're going to make?
Yeah, I'm just waiting
Okay.
for an opportunity to speak.
Are you done, Mr. Lupola?
Yes.
Mr. Burr, you have your opportunity.
Oh, thank you, Deputy Mayor. We need to, or I need to request that the council make a motion to amend the ordinance to add some non-substantive changes. There was an inadvertent omission in Chapter 4815 in the ordinance before you, where we need to add Director of Human Resources to paragraph C. And then we also need to add to repeal provisions to Section 48-8E and 48-15I.
Wait, Paul, I'm going to change them as you go. Can you just say it slowly?
Yep.
So I got
Did you-
the first thing about in
48.
section C about adding director of HR.
Yep.
What was the next one?
And then Section 48-8E, that's, provision doesn't exist.
There is no
So we're going
E.
to add
Add
that
an E.
provision, and we're going to add an E, 48-8E, and that's going to read, any ordinance or part of an ordinance inconsistent with this chapter are hereby repealed. And then we're going to add that same language, create 48-15I, sub I.
So wait, hold on. So 48.8
Sub-
D gets an E.
Right, you're going to get an E after D,
Okay,
right,
and then 48.15.
is going to get an I.
Last thing.
And-
Anything, repeal anything inconsistent.
Yeah, anything inconsistent. And those are non-substantive changes, which will permit the body to pass or adopt this ordinance on second read tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Burr. Council colleagues, any questions for Mr. Burr or Mr. Lupola? Or anyone? No? Seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close that hearing. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll, please?
Mayor,
Deputy
before you,
Mayor, is this
before
for the
you.
amendment?
Deputy Mayor, sorry.
Yeah, I'm not,
Before you make
just so
that-
everyone's watching out there, this has not been a coup. I am not the mayor.
Are you sure?
I'm very sure, believe me.
We need the motion to amend first.
Oh,
before
I
you-
apologize.
Yeah.
I will so move the amendment as you proposed. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Councilor Price Abrams. Any questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, again, please.
Counselor Cummings?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Herlock?
Yes.
Counselor Price Abrams?
Yes.
Counselor Russo?
Yes.
Counselor Schlager?
Yes.
Counselor Terry?
Yes.
Mayor Spiller absent.
Thank you. Okay, moving right along. I understand, Councilman Price Abrams, you have a proclamation, and I will tell you right now, it came in late before we got here, and I did not get a chance to see it, but please go and speak to your proclamation.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And it's actually, it is a resolution, and I will thank Lauren Berman, who's here tonight. I will just back up to say, everybody, I know, I'm sorry, the members, what it is a resolution expressing solidarity with the people of Israel and the innocent civilians in Gaza and condemning the October 7th terrorist attack by Hamas. Another township had prepared something. I did read it. I wasn't sure it was something that we could pull together very quickly, but honestly, I find it to be a very balanced message, and I appreciate that we have an opportunity to actually be on the record to say something ourselves. So what I believe is, Mr. Burr, I'm sorry. Mr. Burr? Only because I need to know that this can be done this way. I believe it can.
We're just discussing an issue on the ordinance.
I know, but before you do that, just, I'm gonna, by reading this into the record, assuming we all vote for it, we will, or that there's a, assuming the council chooses to pass it, without having text, we will backfill it in. We will create this to be a duly enacted resolution.
Yes, you're going to read.
I'm gonna read it, and then I'll provide it to the clerk or whomever to finalize it. But right now, it is going to be read orally, and if there's a vote of the body to endorse it, then we will have it effective. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I know that really all people are pained to know what's going on, and I believe this is really a well-crafted characterization of a statement of values, and I'm going to read it now. So at the end, I'll move it, and then if there's a second. Okay. So resolution of the Township of Montclair expressing solidarity with the people of Israel and the innocent civilians in Gaza and condemning the October 7th terrorist attack by Hamas. Whereas on October 7th, 2023, Hamas carried out a horrifying massacre in Israel, indiscriminately and brutally killing over 1,400 innocent civilians in a single day. And whereas Hamas took nearly 200 innocent civilian hostages, including men, women, and children, back into Gaza to use as bargaining chips. And whereas many citizens of Israel and in Gaza desire peace, security, and regional stability through diplomatic efforts. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the Township of Montclair One, we condemn the acts of terrorism and aggression perpetrated by Hamas and believe there is no justification for terrorism. 2, we affirm that anti-Semitism and Islamophobia are always unacceptable, and the horrific loss of Israeli and innocent Gazan lives is a collective tragedy. 3, we stand in solidarity with all those in the Jewish and Muslim communities around the world which have been experiencing increases in hate crimes, and with the Israeli and Palestinian communities that desire peace, security, and the eradication of bigotry in all its ugly forms. And we stand in solidarity with all the families in our Montclair community, Jewish, Muslim, American, or foreign-born, for which these are sharply painful times, all of whom deserve the love and support of their neighbors. And I so move.
I will second that.
Thank you.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there a discussion that, council colleagues?
I did send it very late before this meeting to everyone to say I was going to bring it, but I know many of you did not have a chance to see it in your inboxes, so.
I appreciate that.
Yep.
I was one of those that didn't get a chance to see it, so I appreciate you reading.
Yeah.
Councilman Russo?
Yeah, I just want to say, I
Please.
want to thank Lauren Berman for bringing this from another town. You know, we could have done our own, but it's a good dialogue. What's going on in the world between Ukraine, Israel, Palestine area, it's just disturbing, because every day we put the news on and see how many more people are killed by other people, by sometimes accidental, but mostly, for example, in Ukraine, this is a madman, and he's going on and bombing everybody and destroying people. And that's a state doing it, Russia doing it to another country. Here we have a group that's really a terrorist group within a group of people who want to have a state, and I believe in the two-state solution that's been proposed for years. You have to have Israel be safe and feel secure, and our Israeli, support has always been there. But Palestinians have to have a state and have an identity with a government that works. It can't work with terrorists overseeing and running and dictating to it. So I'm hopeful. I teach political science, so I've known since I went to Rutgers in 1964. My professor, Dr. Weicker, told us, and it was the 1967 war, am I correct? That was the war which we in class studied what happened when Israel was attacked by Egypt, Jordan. It was a terrible time in college to see this. And what I'm seeing is the repeat of this now, and we have to really stand against terrorism and against war that's not necessary. So I just hope that things can be brought to more of a peaceful solution, that the United States can play a role in keeping both sides from destroying each other. And in Ukraine, again, to go back to that, and Ilmar, who was here today, Ilmar Vanderer, his family's from that area, we cannot let the Ukrainian nation be destroyed. So I hope that Congress comes together to help in both areas. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, let's, Madam Clerk, this is not a roll call, this is a roll call. Can you just do a roll call?
Yes, of course. Councilor Cummings?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Herlock?
Yes.
Councilor Price Abrams?
Yes.
Councilor Russo?
Yes.
Councilor Schlager?
Yes.
Councilor Terry?
Yes.
Mayor Spiller absent.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor, if I may.
Mr. Burr, yes, sir.
It seems like I might have had a slip of the tongue on item A when we were passing or adopting the ordinance.
Okay.
We need to reintroduce that amended ordinance and take another vote to adopt it.
Okay.
Tonight. Yeah, not in the future,
still
tonight.
not substantive.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
what we basically did was amend the ordinance. Now we need to take a vote to adopt the ordinance, right? Correct.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
No. Just to be clear, if I may.
Please,
it-
Councilor Price Abrams.
Because it's deemed to be a non-substantive change, we're not bringing it back for first reading.
No.
We voted first to make the changes that we were told, and
No.
now we must vote to actually pass it. That's what we're doing, right?
Correct.
Thank you.
But you're saying
And
the
it's not-
changes are not substantive?
And they're not substantive.
Correct.
They're not substantive. Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do I need to reopen the hearing on this?
Yeah, why don't we do that?
Okay, let's reopen the hearing on this Ordinance 0-23-36. Is there anyone who wants to be heard again? No? Okay.
Correct.
Agreed. On that it's non-substantive, not that the procedure, but before I say anything else. Any other comments, questions, concerns from my colleagues? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Yes, thank you. Counselor Cummings?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Herlock?
Yes.
Counselor Price Abrams?
Yes.
Counselor Russo?
Yes.
Counselor Schlager?
Yes.
Counselor Terry?
Yes.
Mayor Spiller absent. Thank you.
We didn't move and second.
Do we have to move and second it this next time?
I have I'm sorry, may I?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Herlock?
Absolutely.
Thank you. I have a record of Deputy Mayor Herlock moving the ordinance right before you opened the public hearing, and Councilor Lori Price Abrams seconding.
Do it often enough.
And then the same for the amendments. You were the movement, you were the second.
I
Thank you.
appreciate that. Thank you very much. Now, moving along, we're going to do the consent agenda next, but before I do that, I'm going to use the power of the seat here and call for a 5-minute adjournment, and we'll be back.
I have to use it. Thank you, Bill.
Just yell.
Put the bell. There's a bell. Did you know that there's a bell? What that's for? Oh, this security alarm.
All right, we're good to go. I've just been told, so we're going to go back on the record. I'm going to take a second to, which I failed to do in the beginning. I want to thank my intern, Sabrina, for coming out again to another council meeting. You don't have to come to the office tomorrow. You did your service for the week tonight. Thank you. Moving right along, we've got our consent agenda. That's true. We're not out yet, though, right? We've got resolutions 1 through 9 on the consent agenda. Are there any that would like to pull out? Questions, comments? Councilwoman Price Abrams?
Thanks. I don't actually want to pull them out, but I do want to kind of respond. He's not here at the moment, but the gentleman who spoke earlier about our vehicles and
Yes.
And I just will acknowledge there has been robust discussion with every manager we've worked with talking about movement toward electric vehicles when we can purchase them. I recognize that for certain kind of heavier duty vehicles, perhaps the technology is not there and/or our, technology or our infrastructure doesn't yet support it. And I understand there's need. And so to that extent, I'm not pulling those or asking to review them. I'm accepting that we might need them at this time, but I am going to just stay again on the record that I do want us moving in that direction. I think that's the sense of people in the town and people on this dais to move in that direction. So I'm just making a note of it. And was there one other thing I wanted to just say? That I did see a $77,000 grant insertion. We should just call out, which was that one? Didn't I just see it? Thank you. Let's see. Yeah, we have an item of revenue, so that's going to be $77,000 for recreation-related functions and local improvement grant. I don't know, do we know, Mr. Lapola, what that's for, to be used for?
Number 5 on the consent agenda, Mr. Lapola.
I mean, or if it's within the discretion of our Director of Recreation, I don't know. Okay. Okay, well, I know that. Okay, no, just important that we keep. Okay, thank you.
So I had a same.
Yes, Councilman Cummings?
Yeah,
please.
the same question. So you mentioned to repair some things at the parks.
In general, it's playgrounds, whatever, so it's not really the specifics of where we.
So I'd like to put in a request that Nishawane Park be looked at in terms of its playground, because I think we did Canterbury last year. I know we've done some other upgrades, but if you can just, basically what I'm asking you to do is we can look at all the playgrounds and see the ones that may need to be upgraded and that it goes towards those. And then whatever upgrades we do, we take into consideration equipment that is for children of disabilities that are adaptive for use, because I've had a couple of residents discuss between swings and things like that. So if we do look to equipment, we make sure that it's adaptive and used for all children of all abilities.
There we go.
I couldn't agree more.
And we've, to your point, Councilman Cummings, Councilwoman Schlager and I, for many years now, have worked on the all-inclusive aspect of our playground, so.
Yeah, but Nishawane and Canterbury really have it.
I
No, I
Yep.
understand. I'm saying
I just wanna make sure.
we're in line with that, and
Yeah.
all the parks, quite frankly, in the town should have it, period, as far as I'm concerned. Councilwoman Schlager?
Yes, if I can add, I believe that playgrounds for children of all abilities, which that falls under, is eligible for community development block grants. So I believe they're coming up soon, if they haven't already. I haven't heard from Ms. Talley.
CDBG hearings next week.
Okay.
Or the 20, I think it's the 28th.
So so maybe that could come up. I'm not part of that committee, but maybe that could come up, and I think they're eligible.
December 5th is when they come to us, but I think the folks who are eligible need to start filling out their forms so that they're prepared when they come in front of us.
Exactly. Thank you. Any other questions, comments?
Deputy
Oh,
Mayor,
yes, I'm sorry,
I want to ask
Russo.
Mr.
Please.
LaPola, now, these 2, 6, and 7 were brought to our attention by my student. He looked at these today in class, and he thought that these trucks, he's confused. So could you explain, there's 2 trucks. I think we're buying 2 trucks, about $60,000 each, and they're for utilities. And I explained that to him. He wanted to make a statement because he thinks electric is good. I said, well, if you're not a resident, but he said he lives in the dorms, at Freeman. There's 2 halls in Montclair State, which are, Bill, they're
Yeah.
in Montclair. They could vote in Montclair. I said, couldn't you consider yourself a Montclair resident? So I let him come. But the thing is, he's got a very big issue with how we should move to electric. But I think for certain types of vehicles, like certain police vehicles, electric might not work. And for these, are these just for the water department or sewerage and water? Yeah, but they're 2 different vehicles, both about 60,000, it looks like to me. Okay. So I'm not going to say pull them out, Bill, again, just as Councilor Price Abrams mentioned, we got to try to move as much as we can away from these heavy and expensive vehicles. They are expensive, too. And
If I
electric.
just may, we are
Please.
going to do a comprehensive look at our entire fleet.
Good.
Because we have too many vehicles that are not working. We have vehicles that are 20, 25 years old, and we have to have a plan to replace vehicles, have a 5-year plan. We sort of have a haphazard, depending on the department you're in, may determine how well your vehicle is maintained. And I think, we started our preliminary budget meetings, and this is an issue that keeps coming up and up and up. So we're going to have a comprehensive look on that. So in our capital budget next year, we can start to address what needs to be replaced, how we maintain them. I mean, it has to, we're at the point, we're at the point of electrical tape. We have to start replacing these vehicles.
We appreciate that. We look forward to seeing that report. Thank you, Mr. LaPola. Yes, Councilwoman
I'm
Price
sorry to
Abrams?
delay this, but I don't know how many months ago, Councilor Schlager commented that along the back of this lot back here, there were, 16,
17
17 cars that we
Not that
had
you're
asked. I'm
counting.
not sure we ever quite got an answer as to what are they all for and, which departments, who's using them. And so maybe that's part of this whole investigation. So we would
I'll give
really
you a whole
be,
breakdown of who.
we would welcome the whole thing. Thank you very
And
much.
where are the keys? Some people, I wasn't able to get an answer. Where are the keys to those vehicles? Nobody seemed to know. So-
I know a lot of times Keith Costello uses one, and a lot of staff uses them to go around town.
No, I
When they
know,
have to go to
these are the
meetings and
inspectors, the
everything.
tax assessor, the nurses, we are all, all the departments have people whose primary function is to be out on the road. So we have to, and, in theory, some people suggest having shared vehicles, but for the most part, that makes us, deliver less services because people are here as opposed to being out there. So we have to take a look at this to see, we'll have a plan for you in the executive.
I remember
Deputy Mayor.
out on the road in Montclair.
We should only hope, Council.
We look forward to your report, Mr. LaPola.
Deputy Mayor, I do have one.
Yes,
The
please.
gentleman said that the vehicles that we're getting are rated worst. Can we verify that I know rating agencies are different, but he seemed fairly comfortable that we're not getting the best truck for the amount of money that we're spending. If he says the GMC is,
I can ask the departments that were doing the procurement, but I think
Right.
that often it'll be a matter of whatever your,
well, I'm sure GMC is
Yeah.
more than a Ford, too.
right.
And I'm
So-
looking forward to Mr. Cummings' point, quite frankly, when the point was raised, are the worst fuel consumption, safety, value, that wasn't made clear to me. So I'd like, to your point, Mr. Cummings, I'd like more information on that as well.
We should.
Are we-
No, I wasn't proposing to pull them, but going forward, we want more information as we do
Consumer
this.
reports.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? All right, seeing none.
Are we going 1 through 9?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, number 8. So we've been down this road where we pay for things and the work doesn't seem to get done until, I just want to make sure that Ms. LaPola,
Okay.
please follow up with the contractor to give us a firm date of when they plan on starting. A lot of times they say, well, it's weather dependent. But, the pools, they need to get done. We've been talking about it for several years, and I just want to make sure that the work starts.
I'm with you.
Fair point. We actually, Mr. Lupola, in the prior council, I know Mayor Jackson, we all worked on that very closely. We put in, particularly even with the paving, we put in a number of safeguards for us with our contracts so that if things were not done a proper way, there was a clawback or a holdback, depending on the contract. So to Councilman Cummings' point, we should look into that for all of our contracts, quite frankly. Anything else, council colleagues? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, I'm going to move the, I know what to do, you don't have to mouth it to me. I'm going to move the consent agenda in totality, 1 through 9. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Russo. It's been moved and seconded. Roll call, Madam Clerk, please.
Counselor Cummings?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hurlock?
Yes.
Counselor Price Abrams?
Yes.
Counselor Russo?
Yes.
Counselor Schlager?
Yes.
Counselor Terry?
Yes.
Mayor Spiller absent.
Thank you. Next is Resolution R-23-243. This is a resolution authorizing a contract with Imperial Parking, LLC, for the management and operation of the township parking decks, and I so move.
Second.
Thank you. It's been seconded. Any questions, comments, concerns?
So this is to manage our decks.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And when residents or when individuals have concerns about how the decks are upkept, upkeep of the decks, lighting, that's on us.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay.
I do believe there have been improvements in that regard in some of the activities. I don't know, Mr. Lupola, if you can, just because you raised the Councilor Cummings, I think better lighting and maybe other security features?
That's correct.
Yes,
Thanks.
we've not been receiving any more complaints, so I take that as a good sign.
We
Winter-
get,
winter-
We get
we're getting complaints.
Oh, I know you get the
Knock
complaints. I
on
get
wood.
lots of them.
There we go. All right. I'm going to go ahead now and close the hearing on this one. Madam Clerk?
Counselor Cummings?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hurlock?
Yes.
Counselor Price Abrams?
Yes.
Counselor Russo?
Yes.
Counselor Schlager?
Yes.
Counselor Terry?
Yes.
Mayor Spiller absent.
Great, thank you. Next is Resolution R-23-244. This is a resolution extending contract with Parkeon DBA Flowbird for proprietary parking mobile application services pursuant to N.J.S.A. 40A:11-5, subsection 1, subsection DD, and I so move.
Second, just want to ask a question.
Please, Councilor Russo.
So, this is connected with the parking deck, right? Or is it just parking in general? This is Flowbird.
I think,
You get applications to park around town, permits, whatever that.
right, but there's certain, there are certain lots where they're allowed to use this to pay,
Yeah. So this is doing a good job, you think? Because I get some complaints about people.
He hasn't been.
You know, if you-
Flowbird flew away or something, that he can't get into the machine.
think if you,
the
for
meters are,
those-
some meters are broken. We've got a lot of broken meters over the
Right.
years.
Yeah, I mean, so far, this is, according to the parking superintendent, it's been working well. So, and if, we'll keep using it until it doesn't.
Okay.
Thank you. Councilman Russo, did you have
No,
any?
that's okay
That's
now.
it?
Yeah.
Okay, just checking. Anyone else? Seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and call for the vote. It's been moved and seconded. Madam Clerk?
Counselor Cummings?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hurlock?
Yes.
Counselor Price Abrams?
Yes.
Counselor Russo?
Yes.
Counselor Schlager?
Yes.
Counselor Terry?
Yes.
Mayor Spiller absent.
Thank you. Next is Resolution R-23-245. This is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to Telvue Corporation to upgrade proprietary software and hardware for the township broadcasting system, and I so move.
Second, but again, the question to the manager, the broadcasting system, we're talking about our whole
Yeah, it's
TV?
Channel 34.
Channel 34.
Right, so-
So this is in accord with what both under Tony, it comes under Tony Fan, and then Rick, who works here, they're all in accord with this?
Yes,
They
this
want
is,
this?
yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
And remember, we had a contract with Comcast, which we try to get some more money into it, so that we could actually, right, Attorney, we get more money from them. How's that going? I mean, it's not finalized yet.
No, it hasn't been finalized. You're talking about the renewal of the franchise
Yeah,
agreement.
then we
yeah.
would get more
And we're
money for
still-
equipment
yeah.
from them,
Right. And we're still working with the,
Okay.
with Comcast on that.
So just so you're aware, Michael, we wanted to get more than we got 10 years ago, because we think the equipment is needed is even more expensive, maybe more advanced, everything's digital, you know. So whatever Rick and Tony need, talk to the town attorney, because he's negotiating.
I will do that.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, it's been moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Counselor Cummings?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Herlock?
Yes.
Counselor Price Abrams?
Yes.
Counselor Russo?
Yes?
Counselor Schlager?
Yes.
Counselor Terry?
Yes.
Mayor Spiller absent.
Thank you. The next resolution is R-23-247. This is a resolution authorizing the execution of the Reservoir Ridge Condominium Association, Inc. sewer discharge into the Montclair Sanitary Sewers Agreement, and I so move.
Well, I'll second so you can discuss.
You jumped numbers, but.
You jumped, yeah.
14 before
All
13.
right.
So we're on 14.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you seconded it?
I seconded it, but I want to ask a question again. This is a section of Cedar Grove, Montclair border, right? Bill knows this well.
I know it very well.
So what
Yes.
this allows them is to discharge their sewage, just as we did with Montclair State University one time. We allowed them to hook up so all their sewage comes to us. And we don't mind being helpful, but I don't want a lot of, other people's waste coming through here that could break down, or we get, breakage and what, just concerned. Is this going to be like a foolproof sewer system? I mean,
No, I
the
think
pipes are all good?
Yeah, it's been
It's
existing.
existing.
since-
It's been an existing
I
sewer
know, but-
system, probably since you were mayor.
Yeah, and as it gets older, because I remember this, they broke
Yes.
down. We
So-
don't want their stuff coming down here from that
What-
hill. It's a big
Right.
hill up there.
Yes, they pay us.
Bradford. Is
Yes.
that Bradford or
They pay the Montclair,
Councilman,
they pay the
Deputy
Montclair
Mayor
sewer
knows
rates.
what I'm talking about.
So,
It's right on the border.
so it's an existing sewer system, Mayor. Councilman Russo.
All right.
Getting
Yeah, it is getting late.
That's it, my
A
wife
little
wants to
punchy
know.
here. And Reservoir Ridge pays for the sewer discharge. And this has been in existence for at least 20 years.
And if I can just ask.
Yes, please,
Thank you. So,
Councilwoman.
and under is this under Gary Bzarni's like who's?
Yes, this is
Yes.
under utilities, yes. This is.
Okay.
Yeah, he handles it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, it's been moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Counselor Cummings?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Herlock?
Yes.
Counselor Price Abrams?
Yes.
Counselor Russo?
I was going to say no. Yes.
Counselor Schlager?
Yes.
Counselor Terry?
Yes.
Mayor Spiller absent.
Thank you. As pointed out by my
13.
colleague, Councilwoman Price Abrams, we will go back, thank you, to 13. Sorry about that. Resolution R-23-246 is a resolution of support from the local governing body authorizing participation in the 2023 Sustainable Jersey PSE&G Energy Efficiency Partnership Program, and also move.
I'll second it.
Any questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, I will go ahead and call the roll call. Madam Clerk, please.
Counselor Cummings?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Herlock?
Yes.
Counselor Price Abrams?
Yes.
Counselor Russo?
Yes.
Counselor Schlager?
Yes.
Counselor Terry?
Yes.
Mayor Spiller absent.
Great, thank you. Next is Resolution R-23-248. This is a resolution awarding a fair and open contract to Nature's Choice New Jersey LLC for the provision of Montclair Township leaf removal, specifically bid 23-20, and I so move.
Second?
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Questions, comments, concerns? Yes, Councilwoman Price Abrams.
So we know that this was an item that I believe reached us. Oh, no, it was a substitute. What was substituted? There was a version, and then we got an updated one in the packet. Paul, do you know, Mr. Attorney, why did we get a new one?
What's that? Oh, the math was wrong. There were changes by the finance
Oh, the
department.
math was wrong?
Yes, the
Purchasing office said just changing, I guess it was inaccurate numbers. That's all.
Okay, thank you for catching it. Okay, just didn't know if there was something else to flag.
So question here. Oh, I'm
Councilman
sorry.
Cummings?
No, I mean, and just.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Just, it goes without saying that whatever leaf removal systems they're using are consistent with our township laws.
This is to pick up the bags of leaves.
The bags, that people have bagged,
This
however
is-
they got
I
new
checked,
bags.
this was not about leaf blowers.
That's all good, thank you.
But I guess my question is, with the new ban, I can expect more bags to be picked up. And so that doesn't have anything to do with the price, does it?
No, this is competitively bid based on. the
Okay, so this is
information
flat fee, and they're gonna do it
Right,
days and everything.
yes.
But Rich, real quick, following on Mr. Cummings' question, though, our volume is going to, I think is going to increase
Significantly.
because we're not, a lot of the landscapers aren't picking them up and vacuuming them up into the trucks anymore. Is that, to Mr. Cummings' point, though, as the pricing, you said it was competitively priced, but that's based on last year's numbers, I'm
Well,
sure.
There's a unit price and quantity in cubic yards, so I would assume that if we're going to go over, we'll be back to you for a change of the contract.
Okay, fair enough. I'm sorry, go ahead. Councilwoman Price Abrams and then
Were you
Councilwoman
both
Schlager.
finished? I'm sorry. Just to say.
I'm finished, thank you.
You know, I don't know the past practice and how many bags we have people have to haul, but we are seeking to put together like a working body to support the township residents and the landscapers. We hope will still work here within the confines and the constraints of our new law, which may produce less bags if they are doing mulching, which is part of a process that sustainable landscaping does use. There's less bagging of actual leaves. I guess we'll find out how many people may adopt some of those practices, and maybe we'll net out less. I don't know, but that is actually, so there's a wish and a vision that we're going to pull together something of a task force that will help inform, you know, residents as to how they can best comply and, you know, take care of their own properties. There's nothing but the same wishes as always to have beautiful properties in our township and enjoy the leaves that on the trees that we have and to have safe and healthy communities. So that's it.
Well said. I eagerly await the numbers when they come out this year.
We'll see how we can bring it around.
Absolutely.
Look forward to your help.
Mrs. LaPola, over or under?
Yeah, it's going to go up. I'm sorry, Councilwoman Schlager?
Yeah, speaking of bags, for many, many years, the township gave every homeowner 5 free bags. And we went to Public Works on Fullerton to pick up the bags. Do you know if we still have that program?
I do not.
Okay,
I will find out for you.
okay, thank you.
Deputy Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Cummings.
Mrs. LaPola, this is a 5-year contract,
Yes.
and so but if we find that the numbers are increased, do they have the ability to go in and renegotiate? So they may find that cubic is to their advantage? Or are we good here?
I believe we're good here, sir. I will get you the answer to that question.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Cummings. Anyone else? Seeing none? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Counselor Cummings?
No.
Deputy Mayor Herlock?
Yes.
Counselor Price Abrams?
Yes.
Counselor Russo?
Yes.
Counselor Schlager?
Yes.
Counselor Terry?
Yes.
Mayor Spiller absent.
Okay, next we have Resolution R-23-249. Councilwoman Schlager, if you would, please.
Of course, yes. Whereas invoices against the Township of Montclair in favor of the following persons, for the amount set opposite their respective names, have been received, duly audited, and found correct. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the Township of Montclair, the County of Essex, that said invoices be, and they are hereby ordered paid, and that checks be drawn by the Finance Department to the order of such persons, for the amounts respectively, and hereinafter stated on this computer printout attached hereto, made a part hereof. This bill list is dated October 24th, year 2023, for the amount of $14,415,328.73, and I so move.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Any questions, comments,
Yeah,
concerns? Council, yes, Mr. Cummings.
So last meeting, I requested that we find out how we're going to get, I guess, invoices or work product with GSG. And I see we have a payment here of $5,000. And so the request was that we find out, you know, what are the services for?
The services are for, well, first of all, it's a general oversight of my office, but within there, it's basically work that we assign to them, that I assign to them, and it ranges, as I mentioned, for the fire department entry test to, we are now dealing with some issues at the animal shelter. They are going to be involved in several other departments, and they will be assisting in the budget process.
So just, is it possible that I can get just a status of the work they're contracted for and what they're doing, so I don't have to ask every month?
Sure, absolutely.
That's all. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, share it with everyone, that'd be great. Anyone else? And seeing none, I'm going to go ahead. It's been moved and seconded. Madam Clerk?
Counselor Cummings?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Herlock?
Yes.
Counselor Price Abrams?
Yes.
Counselor Russo?
Yes.
Counselor Schlager?
Yes.
Counselor Terry?
Yes.
Mayor Spiller absent.
Great. Next is Resolution R-23-250. This is a resolution amending the contract with Shoreline Energy Advisors, LLC, for Phase 2 of the Township Microgrid Design Incentive Program, RFP 22-04, and I so move.
I will second it and then ask for some clarification. It is an item that we
Please
were
do,
just-
so we can
were just
discuss it.
given- Yes, we
Thank
were
you.
just, I will second it and then ask that we,
Please, go right ahead.
well, it was something that was just provided to us, so.
This
Mr.
is just
LaPointe-
to extend the grant, but this is, with the microgrid, we have some, despite the fact that we're given the grant, we have issues with PSE&G as to, and permission through the BPU because of where facilities are located, how to get this done. So the grant would have expired, so this extends the grant for 10 more months.
And just to be clear, the grant relates to, it's this whole, is this the project that relates to New Glenfield School and the fire department
Yes.
main?
Yes, the microgrid project. Hospital, yes.
Where's it going?
Where's what going?
What are we getting out of this? I mean,
The goal is to be able to build the microgrids so that whenever there is a need, emergency, whatever it is, we're able to power these facilities. The problem is, based on current regulations at the BPU, this is my understanding, and this is that we got the grant from them, but their internal regulations prevent us from implementing what we need to do. So we are working with them, or consultants working with them, trying to change that, so that we are able to then build a microgrid.
right, so when you say build a microgrid, is that at a location?
I think it's on various locations.
Yes, it's various locations that runs from, I believe, Mountainside Hospital all the way over to Glenfield
Glenfield School.
School, and it will power certain facilities.
Right.
The hospital, the transit station.
Fire
it might be
department.
fire department,
So
and
in this-
the school.
And the school.
And it was a grant that the
Right.
state was offering to combat areas where they need, when there's a storm and it knocks out power to essential services, that you can power some of the
The
essential
redundancy.
services. Right.
So with Lackawanna Plaza coming on, is that being taken into consideration, that impact that that's going to have on that area?
No, I do not
I don't
believe
think
so.
that's the issue is the impact on the area. I just think it's when the
Right, it was it was just a submission.
Hurricane Sandy or something occurs, and, there'd be a microwave to back up
Those
facilities.
only
But
those
It's not an
facilities.
issue of capacity. That's a
Well, I'm
different
saying, so
issue.
those residents, I mean, everything was knocked out around that area when we had Sandy, so this is not going to be something that could help them as much as it will still be the hospital, the school, and the fire department.
Yeah, I think the focus of this was selecting those places that need to have power.
Yeah,
So
well,
a
I'm
school would
sure,
be, a school where people can go, the hospital, we need the fire department to operate, so, but I think that's what the criteria was.
okay.
And it's
And all-
unfortunate that we are now trying to work within the BPU's regulations to get it done. We're not the only municipality that's having this problem.
Received.
Thank you. Any other questions? Comments, concerns? Seeing none, Madam Clerk?
Counselor Cummings?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Herlock?
Yes.
Counselor Price Abrams?
Yes.
Counselor Russo?
Yes.
Counselor Schlager?
Yes.
Counselor Terry?
Yes.
Mayor Spiller absent.
Okay, let's move on. Comments?
Well, Deputy Mayor, before we move on,
Yes, Mr.
want
Cummings,
to-
please.
I want to bring up, I've had a couple of members from the planning board, as well as some residents and some town folks and attorneys discuss the passage of the redevelopment plan for Lackawanna Plaza, specifically to the concern of whether or not the plan addresses in writing in the plan itself the reasons for the deviation and rejecting recommendations of the planning board, which must be recorded in the minutes as well of the meeting. And so I just want to put this body on notice that this is something we may want to consider, making sure that the plan itself has that rationale in there so that we eliminate any potential frivolous lawsuits. So it's something that I just want to put forth here so that we are all able to discuss this and think about this in terms of, as well as read it thoroughly to make sure that we are, in fact, following N.J.S.A 4812A7, and I believe it's really E and D are the specific areas that reply to this, which basically says that not only we need to make sure that we record in the plan and the redevelopment of the plan itself the reasons for deviating from the master plan and the planning board. We just meant to explain why we did that, and I'm not sure that that was done to sufficient in the plan that we have. So it's something that I think we need to seriously consider and think about and go through. And if in fact we find that that is not the case, and I think this body, we need to look at amending that to make sure that is the case.
No, I appreciate that. I actually asked the questions that night. So, Mr. Burr, would you care to address Councilor Cummings' comments, sir?
Well, I stated that night, Deputy Mayor, the process was, I believe the process was followed properly. If the council wants me to do an opinion on Mr. Cummings' statements, I could do that and provide that opinion at a later date.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that. I just want to make sure that what is supposed to be in the plan is in the plan. And I don't want to put forth anything to change it, or, well, I do want to change it in terms of, but I want to make sure that it's buttoned up and tight so that we don't go through what happened last time with frivolous lawsuits that can relate this.
It's a fair point, Councilman Cummings. And Mr. Burr, can you give us a time frame when you think you could have something back to the
I
council?
should be able to get something to the council before the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
When is that next meeting, Mr. Deputy Mayor?
13th of
Madam Clerk, can you tell us when the next meeting is, please?
Monday, November 13th.
So it's about 3 weeks from now, I guess? It's on a Monday, right?
Because of the league, yeah. Okay. Let's go around the horn. I'll start with Mr. Burr.
No comment or no updates, nothing to report,
Thank
Deputy
you.
Mayor.
Appreciate that. Mr. Cummings?
Lori brought up a ordinance tonight that made me think about some things. I want to apologize to Robin and Lori for language that I used in an email that came from a place of anger, disappointment, and I would say disappointment most. And I let that get to me. I've known you for years. I was particularly upset at a characterization that was brought forth not by you, that I did not feel was accurate, but that still does not make my statement okay. And another part of this is out of respect for Roger, who has made a statement of what he wants to bring to this council. And in order for that to happen, I think we all have to be willing to work with that. I've made it clear on this council several times that I don't think we follow process properly. I've made it clear that I've got issues how some things come before us at last minute times. However, this is a new body, and hopefully as we move forward for the next 8 months, we can have the conciliatory tone that we had tonight, So I have to sometimes admit when I make mistakes. And I think my response in that text was a mistake to both of you. I think that my comments at the meeting were not one of what I would say professional decorum in this hall. And I want to thank Lori for contacting me this morning or this afternoon when I was stuck in traffic, because that started a self-evaluation. And then when the resolution that you brought up, there are a lot of people with a lot of problems in this world. And ours here in Montclair are very self-inflicted and can be done and can be handled. But we cannot bring anyone back from death. And so for me to allow something as trivial, and I say trivial, no, I don't say trivial, because I do think this plan is going to impact a lot of lives, but for me to let something as trivial as what we do with the larger scope of New Jersey, Montclair, and the world really put some things in perspective. And so I personally want to make sure that you all understand that I'm still not going to agree with a lot of things. I'm not going to stop being who I am, but you can rest assured language like that will never come out of my mouth or my fingers. I will take a step back and say that I sincerely apologize not only to you all, but to Deputy Mayor, Mr. Russo, Mr. Terry, Mr. LaPola, Ms. Neves. Were you here that night? Yes. No, you were here?
She was.
Okay, to you, Mr. Burr, as well, and all members of the audience who were here. I think that if I am going to lead as I've always tried to lead, it needs to start by apologizing to you all. And so I'm sorry, and I hope we can move on from this in the manner in which we did prior to. So thank you for that time.
Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Price Avery.
Well, I really want to start by saying thank you to Councilor Cummings. Without reenacting and repeating, it was a uncalled for, hurtful, and I don't know why justified thing. So when I sat with that for a long time, and Councilor Schlager and I had talked about it, and then finally I decided today that before I sat down here again, I wanted to sort of put my thoughts out to you, and I know you reflected on them, and I just want to thank you for that very, I think, authentic reflection and apology. I don't expect us to agree all the time. I think we would be wrong if we just agreed on everything. It's not the point. So I just think that was classy and appropriate, and thank you. I don't know, I had the opportunity earlier to really share just from my own heart about, the pain of what's going on in the Middle East, and we can't be as if it doesn't affect us here. I mean, we still go about our day. We're busy all day doing other things. We pour ourselves into work for the township, but it's a really deeply terrible time in the world in so many ways. I'm glad to know that maybe we'll find some healing around this dais and in this town, and there's so many other things I could talk about, but I think I'm just going to say thank you and pass it to my next colleague.
Okay. Yes, Councilman Russo.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. It's been a tough year. It's exactly the 28th of October, 25th of October, because right before my birthday, that I had conflicts with people here, and I apologize for those conflicts. But you have to understand, Michael, you're here now just a couple of months. We had such conflicts with the manager previously. I'm not talking about Brian, of course. I'm not talking about Mr. Hartnett. I'm talking about the previous manager. That a whole year of terrible pain was the condition I had, which I've gotten the operation for, and it's cleared that up, but it's also stressful. As Councilor Schlager said, I think a week or two ago, it's a tough thing to sit up here and have people attacking you, questioning you, and making you feel bad. And I've gone through that for 23 and a half years. So what really made me feel bad was when a new member of the council, a very new member, would say to me, "You haven't accomplished anything in 23 years." He said that to me in front of residents up here. And then he continues to, and even now, sending messages to us from afar, saying negative things about Brian Scantlebury, who's our deputy manager, about our CFO, taking credit maybe for Roger's appointment. I never saw anything like this, that somebody who's not even here, and he had a lot of great ideas, a great person. I supported all his efforts for LGBTQ community, but I want to send him a message. If you left and you say you don't like the politics, you don't like the council, you don't like the government, you don't like social media, then stop using it. Stop sending all these messages to people, telling everybody how bad we are and how bad I personally feel, because I tried to help the young man for 3 years while he was here as a new person. I tried to be a mentor. So I'd just like to say I'm sorry for things that I did for the last year, because it was a stressful year physically and then mentally, and I've overcome the physical, and we also have to now heal. We're going to heal, hopefully, even if we disagree. As Roger said, we do it in a polite way. So I'm trying to reform myself. I just want to point out that to Sabrina, the intern from Councilor and Deputy Mayor Herlock, that the young man that was sitting there is also a Montclair State student, and he wants to connect with you. We were hoping you'd come to our class, but our class is called Government Problem Solving, Tuesdays and Fridays, and he's in the class wanting to come here and see how we operate. Now, he wanted me to actually get those 2 resolutions tabled. He said, "I want you to table them, Professor Russo." No, we didn't table them. We questioned them. We went over, the course. We want to see changes. But when I see him on Friday, I'll say, I didn't do what you said, because you're going to learn from us that you can't always get all these things that you want done, So it's a learning process for everybody. I want to make sure everybody also knows that Ilmar Vanderer was here and he was sitting in the back with her, and I said hello to her because I've been to all the different films, and Bill was there too, right? Yeah. She's Boris Karloff's daughter, Sarah Karloff, was here with us. So she was observing Ilmar, who's her good friend, because he'd like to get more involved, possibly be a candidate. So she was there to observe him. I wanted to introduce her. She's very modest. She didn't want that, but she is the one who is promoting the history of her father for 100 years, since the 1930s or even 20s, when we had silent films, I guess. Boris Karloff was a great actor, not just Frankenstein. Everybody thinks of Frankenstein. That's not the character he was, really. He did so many great films, even in the silent movie era. So she was here tonight visiting us with him, because I think she's doing a film fest, right, Bill? Right. There's something this Sunday or whatever. She's going to be here for the film about the man. What's it called? The film is, it's the man, he's more than a Frankenstein character, that's for sure. So we want to just thank him for bringing her and salute her, Sarah Karloff, who's the daughter of Boris Karloff. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Russo. Going around to the other side here, Madam Clerk.
Thank you. I have no comments.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Mr. LaPola?
I have no comments, Mr.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Councilwoman Schlager.
Yes, I'd like to say a couple of things.
Please.
I want to acknowledge your heartfelt, Councilor Cummings, David, your heartfelt apology, and I accept that. What was more hurtful to me was that, yes, we've known each other a long time, and we've had our ups and downs, but I always considered you a friend outside of here, and so that really upset me even more knowing that. So, but I hope that we will move on in a positive, productive, and kind way, and thank you for your words. I also want to send my condolences. Speaking of hard times for Elizabeth Jean Smith, who's affectionately known as Betsy from the YMCA. She's worked there a long time. She was a bright light for this town. So I wanted to send my condolences to the Smith family. And I didn't get to welcome you, Roger. So Councilman Terry, I'm happy to sit next to you. And I hope the next 7 or 8, 9 months will also move forward in a very productive way. Thank you for being here. Okay.
8.5, not that we're counting. Mr. Terry, please. Thank you.
Well,
Councilman
first of
Flicker.
all, I want to thank my colleagues here for a wonderful night, and thank everyone for helping out and pitching in and bringing me up to speed. You know, all of us are Montclairians here, but Paul, Dave, Ms. Nueves, and myself are Mounties. There's a special difference in that, okay? I just want to say that. We went to Montclair High School, and we graduated from Montclair High School. So I know for a fact, I know Dave's family, you know, all the way back. Actually went to school with some of his family. Professional people here. Everyone here is a professional. I appreciate how professional that you've acted tonight. You know, I feel grateful that I'm a part of this team right here. And I think that there are good things to come down the line. Now, I know that there are going to be people listening, oh, wow, you know, it's not going to last or whatever like that. But as a team, we can make it, you know. It's really just what you said, you know. Sometimes you're not going to agree with everything, but you can continue at least to agree to disagree. You can't really do anything about the past, right? That's gone. The future you can plan for, and today you can live as deliberate as you can to make that day the best of your ability, you know. And if it's not a day, sometimes you got to break it down to 1 hour at a time, and if that doesn't work, 1 moment at a time. So for this moment right now, we've had, like, I think, a great meeting and, you know, a great understanding of what direction that we need to go into, you know. Thank you.
Thank you, Roger.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Good luck.
Councilman. I've got a couple things. Given the hour, I know I always make a joke what time it is or whatever, but it's actually a decent time for once. So because of that, for the last 3 meetings, I haven't really been able to say anything because it's usually around 12:30 in the morning. There's maybe one person out there and maybe 3 people on TV at that hour. So I'm going to get caught up on a couple things, so indulge me for a moment.
You're not going to announce for governor like I did that time.
Not me, no. Definitely not me.
Got that mic.
There were a bunch of events. I mean, it really speaks to the character of Montclair. And I'm going to say something, too, about the meeting as I close. But we had the great event. The YMCA did the N.J.S.A. Book signing, actually, which some of us went to. Great event. Our Lady of Mount Carmel Church has had some great events. I've been to at least 2 or 3. I know my colleagues have as well. My good friend, Rabbi Leaf, did a great event, Shofar in the Park, that me and my family attended as well. I know some of us were there. And then I know this goes back a couple weeks, but again, I don't really talk that much at 12:30 in the morning, so indulge me for a second. We've got the Montclair Film Festival going on right now. I went to 2 events with my family over the weekend. I know my colleagues have. Looking forward to more. This really speaks to the character and the heart of who we are in Montclair. There was the Manufacture Village Open Studios art show that I attended on Friday. Went to a class at the Montclair History Center on the history of your property, and you got to research your property, which was really cool, actually. Big history buff. I know I'm a nerd, but that's how I am. So there's a lot of great things that are going on, a lot of events, and it really speaks to the character and the heart of our town. And I have to say, you know, I had apprehensions being in this seat tonight, I'll be honest with you, as I have always been honest. You know, the way things have rolled, who the hell knows, right? Pardon my French. But I have to say, I want to thank every one of you up here tonight because your professionalism and your civility was really well appreciated. And I also want to thank the people that came up to the mic tonight. I know people get impassioned about issues. I said that last time we were up here. That's perfectly fine. We can agree, as we've all said tonight. I said it at the last meeting. We can agree to disagree, but that doesn't make someone a criminal or worse, as we've been seeing. And I'm hoping we can continue what we started tonight, all of us. David, I appreciate your apology. Going forward so that we can work together. There's a lot of issues that the town is facing. And we need to get together and address those together. And no more of this infighting, backbiting, whatever you want to call it. Stop. Our efforts are better spent elsewhere. And I again want to thank you all this evening for the professionalism and the civility here on the dais and out in the public comment section as well. Thank you. Councilwoman Price Abrams. Now, how could you possibly top
No,
me?
I wouldn't dare top it, but I want to, I'll just thank you, but I did kind of come to mind that we are just 2 weeks before an election, and I would ask the clerk if you would just repeat if there's, what are the options about people
Good point.
dropping ballots or voting early, or can you
Yes.
still request a vote by mail, or could you just give that public, please, too?
Thank you. Fair point.
2 weeks from
Just
today.
give me 1 minute and I'll tell you.
I do know that there are early voting locations, because I looked at it myself, and.
I did too. There's about 10 of them in Essex
and-
County.
But not in Montclair.
None
Go
in
ahead.
Montclair.
No,
though.
she's
Not in
ready. Go
Montclair.
ahead. Thank you.
I want to give you the exact date. I think it starts on the 28th of October, but I want to give you the exact date for when early voting starts. I believe it's the Saturday.
Is that the 29th?
I think it's a Saturday, and then it closes on a Sunday, and it's listed on the Essex County website, but I did pass along all this information to the Office of Information Technology so they can post it on our website. The mail-in ballots, always for every election, you can bring it in up until 3 p.m. the day before the election, in person to the county clerk's office in Newark. We also have a drop box here at 205. That you can, drop your mail-in ballot there if you don't feel comfortable with the mailbox. The other ballot drop box is at 1 Normal Avenue, Montclair State University, Lot 8. It's known as the handicap lot at MSU. And then, of course, the polls. We have 41 districts. They'll be open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. sharp on the 8th of November for the election day. But all
Thank
this
you.
information is supposed to be on the website.
Okay,
so
and
I
can one still request a vote by mail ballot? I think it's not too late. I don't know where the cutoff is for that.
I'm not sure if they're too late because they already started mailing them, so I don't want to misspeak. So give me 1 minute, and I'll tell you if it's too late.
All right, well. we can
It's
wait.
worth the 1 minute wait
Okay.
to me anyway. It's still before 10.
No,
so
my
I'm
kids
just-
don't
Deputy Mayor,
have it.
Yeah,
I'm probably
Mr. Cummings.
I'm going to add 30 seconds to that with a request for the clerk.
Do you want to wait until she gets the answer? or do
Because
you
of
want-
the district added last year, a lot of people don't vote at St. Nishawayne, or there was a discrepancy between if you voted at the church, Trinity, or Nishawayne, and it's like you can live here or across the street. Is there any way we can get letters to those individuals I think it's just 200, who were who changed from Nishawayne, or changed from Trinity to Nishawayne?
Yes, Councilor Cummings, I think it's way less than 200 because they created what we refer to as pocket districts.
Right.
And I do have that information on our website, anyone
Okay.
who has had a poll site change. But yes, we can,
I think last year you gave me letters and I dropped them off
Yes.
in the mailboxes, so if you can give me that, that'll be fine. I'll even do that.
yes, I'll have
All right.
that to you.
I
Now-
just want to make one correction. It's November 7th, so it's Tuesday the 7th, not the 8th. That's all.
Thank you, Councilor Russo. I don't have a calendar.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Happy Halloween, everyone. Let's have a
Okay.
safe Halloween, right?
I got the answer. Councilor Price Abrams, the deadline that I told you, 3 p.m. the day before the election at the county clerk's office, that's the deadline for making an application to vote by mail.
Okay, so if it can't be done in person, though, I will figure that out for my own case, but I just wanted the public to know.
I'm sorry, if what can't be done in person?
Well, it can be done, but if you can't do it in person, I don't know how late you can request it and still receive it.
You can come in all the way up until 2:30 p.m. and fill out the form, but you just have to drive there to Newark.
Okay.
Because you're running the risk that it's not going to make it to the county.
This is an application for a vote by mail ballot,
Yes.
Oops, I'm so sorry.
We have those in the
My
office, yes.
student who lives elsewhere, I will get this in his hands, or he'll print it himself, and it's, as long as it's received by,
3 p.m. the day before the election.
not this, though, this is just to get the ballot.
That
Yes.
application can be submitted up until 3 p.m. to Chris Durkin, the Essex County Clerk. His office will take it in.
Okay, all right,
All
thank you.
right?
Okay. Anything else? I'll entertain I'm sorry, Mr. Rizzo?
Happy Halloween, but let's make it safe again. Everybody
Yes.
watch your kids and watch out, for some dangerous folks.
And I like
around.
your Halloween tie, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I got pumpkins on it. Thank you.
I'm going to.
Oh, and happy birthday to Roger. Wait a
And
minute,
happy
Roger
birthday.
and I have the same birthday.
No, we have
Wow.
one day after you.
One day after.
Happy birthday to both of you.
Scorpios, watch
With that, a
out.
motion to.
So moved.
Scorpios,
Second,
watch
all in
out.
favor? Aye. Thank you
Aye,
all.
aye.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.